Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the Board Secretary on April 13th, 2022 in the following manner. Posted notice on the school bulletin board of the administration building, transmitted to the Courier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, and Clerk of Cherry Hill Township. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Sugars, would you please call roll?
Mrs. Arroyo,
Here.
Mrs. Stratton,
Here.
Mrs. Fleischer, Ms. Friedel,
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Dr. Rude,
Here.
Ms. Stern,
Here.
Mrs. Tong,
Here.
Mr. Avadia.
Here. We have no board recognition this evening. I will turn it over to Dr. Melange to introduce budget.
Thank you, Mr. Avadia. As you know, we are having our budget hearing this evening for the budget for the school year 2022, 2023. Mrs. Sugars and her team, Ms. Vitansky, the folks in the business office have done a wonderful job of preparing a very efficient and very thorough budget for us to work with for next year. The original budget that was submitted was approved by the county during the preliminary approval process. And now tonight is the final approval process. After the board votes tonight, Mrs. Sugars will submit the budget to the county tomorrow. So I'm thrilled to turn it over to Mrs. Sugars if she is ready to go. And Mr. Avadi, just a reminder for folks, Mrs. Sugars will deliver the presentation. We will then have a public comment section that's just about the budget. It will not impact or affect the other two public comments that take place tonight. There will be a separate public comment section just on the budget. Those are the only topics or only comments we'll be able to entertain during that time. You'll manage it the same way that we do every other public comment, alternating between folks in person and on the Zoom call, certainly taking students and that kind of thing as well.
Thanks. Okay, I apologize for that delay. Tonight, we are having the public hearing on the 2022-23 school district budget. This budget is the same budget that we reviewed when we did our initial submission budget in mid-March. We got our county approval on the budget on April 14th, and we are pleased to have the public hearing this evening. So if we take a look at our budget is broken down by the state using budget codes, and those codes summarize into some very broad categories. And so we have summarized the budget here into those categories. Regular education is anything that's attributable to a particular grade level, and that includes teacher salaries, supplies, services, and those types of things for that program. Then we have special education, and that's the same. It includes teacher salaries and supplies and services for the special education programs. Next, we have basic skills and bilingual, extracurricular and athletics, and other instructional programs, which is a summer program that we run in the district. And our total costs that can be attributable to educational costs, you can see here is $98,450,000. It's an increase of $2.8 million from last year and a 3% increase. If we move on to what we call support and operational costs, that includes things such as out-of-district tuition, Student services, which includes attendance offices, nurses' offices, guidance offices, curriculum, meet our media centers, and improvement of instruction. Administration, which includes principal's offices, superintendent's office, business office, technology office. Maintenance includes grounds, custodial maintenance, and security. Transportation is transportation, and then employee benefits, which include medical benefits, payouts for tuition reimbursements, workers' comp insurance, things of that nature, all fall into that category. And so if we look at our support and operational summary, we can see that that comes out to $124 million, an increase of about 4.6 million or 3.9% over last year. The final portion of our budget is our capital outlay, which includes equipment and construction. Also includes money that we transfer out of our capital reserve account to do larger projects. And this category is about the same as it was last year, 9.1 million, a reduction of about $42,000. So if we look at our overall general fund budget, we can see that it increased by $7.4 million from 224,191,032 to 231,615,122. It's about a 3.3% increase. If we look at that from a graphical standpoint, you can see how the budget comes out here. Largest category is the regular education portion of the budget. And then you can see the various categories there. Everything to the right is the educational cost that we talk about. To the left is the more operational and support costs that we talked about. We talked about capital reserve, taking some money out of our capital reserve account in order to do some of our larger projects. Some of those projects include HVAC upgrades. We are using ESSER 2 funds that we receive to do upgrades throughout the district, and we will supplement some of that to do work at each school. Also to do playground upgrades at the Barclay building, which will be called the Malberg building in June. The early childhood program that we have there, we'll do an upgrade on the playground area there. ADA work, we will continue to work on our ADA accessibility work at each building. We've done work in those areas each year over the past couple of years, and that will be at Stockton and Lewis, which is the current Malberg building. And those all will be funded by the capital reserve account, and that'll be $4.1 million worth of work. We look at the budget a different way, and we break it down into broad categories. We are a personnel-driven operation. You can see here that 72% or so of our budget is salaries and benefits. Everything else falls into the other category. So that's anything that is not a salary or a benefit. So that includes tuition and transportation and services and books and supplies that we need. You can see there that our benefits area is increasing significantly. Salaries are increasing, and our other category is going down. Also at the bottom, you can see there's the capital reserve projects that we just spoke about. So if you look at that graphically, you can see as well that we have 53% of our budget in salaries, 20% of our budget in benefits. Other is the remaining 25%, and capital reserve projects is 2%. We switch over to the revenue side and we take a look at what is funding our budget. We can see here that the largest funder of our budget is tax levy, and that's going to be increasing just under 2.3 million or 1.3%. We are held to a 2% tax levy each year, and so we are under that 2% tax levy for this year. Miscellaneous revenues don't fluctuate greatly year from year, and you can see that that's going to increase slightly. The good news is that we did receive additional state aid this year. We were receiving 4.8 million, almost 4.9 million more in additional state aid this year over the year before. Over the past couple of years, we have been moving in the right direction in terms of state aid and how much we receive. Federal aid is the semi-funds that we receive. Fund balance is our own funds that we put back into the budget each year, increase in capital reserve, and then reserve for encumbrances is a balancing number. Those are purchase orders from the prior school year that come into the new budget. for various items. And again, you can see the $7.4 million increase and 3.3%. If we look at that graphically, we can see that for sure taxes are the largest portion of what funds our budget, followed by state aid, which is up to 14%. I'm pleased to see that this is moving in that direction where state aid is taking over more of the funding of our budget, still room to grow, and taxes are funding less of our budget. We look at our state aid, we can see here over the past couple of years how state aid has increased. We're very pleased that it has increased. We have our original 2021 numbers that were adjusted shortly after the budget because of the pandemic. And then last year, this school year, 21-22, we saw an increase. And then for next year in 22-23, we'll see an increase as well. So what's new in the budget? We have 4 additional classes, 3 elementary and 1 middle school to meet programmatic needs. That includes 4 additional teaching staff members and 8 additional educational assistants, elementary math coach, technology teacher at the high school, technology specialist, and additional athletic trainer services. So when we look at this in terms of tax impact, we can see here again that taxes are increasing just under $2.3 million or 1.25%. The estimated tax impact on the average assessed home of $226,000 is $65.04 over the year. Last year, our tax impact was around $25 or so. So we've been able to keep it under $100 for the past 2 years. So that's good. Special revenue fund is also a part of our budget. This is where we account for all of our grants. We don't actually know what our special revenue numbers will be at this point. We use estimates right now just as part of the budgeting process. But you can see there, we are required to budget at least 85% of what we received the year before. And typically that's what we do. We will find out what these numbers are closer to the summertime before school starts in September. All right. Do I have any questions from the board members? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Sugars. This represents an incredible amount of work, and we appreciate it. Next we go. So as Dr. Malash earlier alluded to, we have an additional public comment period tonight. Comments in this section, they don't infringe on the other 2 sections, but they can be made only on the budget that is up for vote tonight. Public comment will be taken on the budget only. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Now we will alternate. We'll start in the room and then go online. Please remember your full name and municipality at the very, very beginning of your comments. And if you are a student, especially for tonight, it would be good if you indicated that. And if you're online, if you could somehow put an S somewhere around your name, we want to would like to come up to the microphone to be our first public comment, and you will get you'll get 3 minutes per comment. Thank you. Seeing none in the room, I will turn to a phone number, and I believe it's Dr. Podowitz, but I cannot be sure until he starts speaking. So,
Hi, my name is
Jeff. 9788. The floor is yours.
Okay, my name is Jeff Podowitz. I am referring to 14.4 on today's agenda and our user-friendly budget dated October 23rd, 2015 and August 13th, 2022 on the DOE website, and our school district's budget presentation dated in March, all right? Note, in 2013-2014, our actual revenue was $177 million approximately. For school year 2021-2022, our adjusted revenue was $244 million $855,000. For this, if you refer to 14.4, our general fund revenue is $231 million approximately, and our special reserve fund is $17.1 million for a total base budget of $248.7 million, and that's what they're going to be voting on today, $248 million for fiscal year 2022-2023. This information can be found on 14.4 on the agenda. From the user-friendly budget dated August 13th, 2021 on the DOE website, from the 2019-2020 school year, total about $205 million. According to our March 2022 budget presentation, our actual revenue for the 2020-2021 schedule total $222.9 million. That was a one-year increase of $17.7 million, or approximately 18.6 increase. If we look at the adjusted budget for 2021-2022, we see $224 million approximately, and for the general fund and for the special reserve fund about $20 million, for a total of $244.8 million. That's a $21 million.9 increase, or a 9.8% increase over school year 2020-2021. 18.6% and 9.8% are large increase in revenue. Note from the user-friendly budget, 2021-2022 proposed was $228 million approximately, but our adjusted budget for 2021-2022, according to the March budget presentation, totaled $244.8 million, over $16 million over that was on the user-friendly budget. So it appears that this year our total budget will be about $248 million, which is only, and I mean only, about $4 million more than last year's budget. So school board, considering that we had increases of 8.6% and 9.8% revenue increases moving forward.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Dr. Podowitz. We appreciate your comment.
Okay.
Looking at the room expectantly, I'm going to once again return to the line for Carolina Bevid.
Good evening, Carolina Bevid, Cherry Hill. I just have a general comment about the budget in general. Obviously we've all been facing challenges because of the pandemic, but I can't help but notice that certain services that we are receiving as taxpayers from the school, such as like transportation, and I would throw food service in there, the quality has diminished. We're constantly being told buses are running late. Frequently, sometimes buses don't leave Stockton until 4 p.m. the last bus, a half hour after school's over, 15 minutes after school's over. Reports that school lunches aren't including fruit and vegetables the way they're supposed to. So I just wonder who is negotiating the prices, and if the transportation cost is going up, but the quality of service is going down, who's responsible? I want to make sure that our tax dollars are being used responsibly. And if the transportation department or the transportation companies aren't upholding their end of the contract, that, that's addressed and reflected in the cost of the contract. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bevid. We're going to next go to Alana Yaris.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I just want to state that the last time Malberg/Barkley was used as the model for something was the vestibules that were then put in at many schools, and there were improvements that needed to be made, and those improvements are seen in the other schools where vestibules now are, but those improvements were never put in at Barkley/Malberg. So whereas Thomas Paine and West have permanent canopies, Barkley/Malberg does not. I just want to make sure that when the playground is put in that's ADA accessible and more in line with 21st century play for the students outside, that if there's something that is seen as needing a change for improvement and is then put in at other schools, that Malberg will then be on the list to get this improvement instead of being the model school and never getting the improvement that's needed. And the second is, has any conversation come out about I'm actually not sure if this fits into this category, but if food, for food services for next year, how the district's budget will look in terms of if we're continuing with free and reduced lunch. I mean, if we're continuing with free lunch for all, or if it will go back to a pay to like actually having to buy lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yaros. Next, we're going to go to Dr. Mintz. You are next.
Thank you, Regina Comments, Cherry Hill. Two questions. One is, what is the cause for the large increase and the health benefit, if you can explain that? And second question is, I think if I'm correct, we've lost about 500 students over the last 2 years. I don't have the exact numbers, of possibly 600 students that left the Cherry Hill school system. So is there an adjustment in the amount of staffing that is needed for that? And because, you know, the budget displayed here shows an increase in salaries, a significant increase. So if you can answer that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mintz. Next, we have Kim Gallagher.
Kim Gallagher, Cherry Hill. So first of all, you know, I think we can all say that, you know, prices have gone up recently and we're all feeling it. And, you know, I was kind of frustrated when I first saw the budget, and I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but from the first budget that was presented to the public, there was no consideration of having a 0% tax increase. And I would, you know, just due to inflation and costs, I know that it says $65 per year, but many houses are estimated higher. And, you know, each year at $65, it prices people out of the market. And so I think the district needs to be conscious of that decision, that when every year we're having a 1-2% tax increase, that fewer and fewer people are going to be able to purchase homes in Cherry Hill. Secondly, when you consider that the district wants to put the bond together of, you know, at one point was discussing $400 million, that's also going to be another tax increase that the taxpayers are going to have to front. And so, you know, these considerations need to be made. Secondly, and I'm not sure the feasibility of this, but, you know, when you look at a budget as big as Cherry Hill's, you know, $200+ million per year is obviously a lot of money. But what I've always wondered is, you know, where do our numbers align with like industry standards? You know, many companies, when running budgets, try to bring their numbers down as a percentage of revenues or costs to the total to align with, you know, industry standards and best in practice. And I'm just curious as to where Cherry Hill falls in there. And if the district would be able to add an extra line in there to show, you know, our percentage of budget to the industry standard of budget, then as taxpayers, we could know whether or not our budget is good and whether our money is being spent properly. So if the district could consider doing that in the future, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gallagher. Next, we're going to go to Ann Einhorn. Floor is yours.
Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'd like to thank Mrs. Sugars and her department for putting forth this budget. I'd also like to thank the Board of Education for keeping the budget increase below the 2% that they could have. I certainly appreciate that last year that you only increased the budget by 0.25%. Correct me if I'm wrong in other comments by the officials, but you did indeed show consideration to people who were still struggling and coping with the COVID pandemic situation. So I congratulate you all. I was not in favor of last year's minimal increase, but I do believe that you did keep the taxpayers in mind last year and certainly for this year. So I thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Einhorn. And seeing no one furiously approaching the mic, that will end our special comment period. Thank you to all who participated. Next, we go to Dr. Meloche to introduce an exciting report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ovadia. I'm really excited because we have a special presentation this evening. And joining us are Dr. Tony Damon, the principal at Cherry Hill High School West, and Mr. Scott Goldthorpe, one of our curriculum supervisors. They're going to deliver a presentation creating college and career-ready open-minded thinkers through STEAM and CTE. They've been doing quite a bit of work along with team members of folks from the high school level with Dr. Morton. So they're very excited to be here with you this evening. Just a reminder for folks, Mrs. Sugar's presentation and this presentation will both be posted on the district website by close of business tomorrow afternoon. All right, Mr. Goldthorpe and Dr. Damon, it's all yours.
All right, thank you very much for the introduction, Dr. Meloche. My name is Scott Goldthorpe, Supervisor of Curriculum and Instruction here in Cherry Hill. Specifically, I work with our K-12 math and science programs. Joining me is Dr. Tony Damon, Principal of Cherry Hill High School West. So I wanted to start with this slide that you guys are all intimately familiar with, our district mission, as well as our Board of Education strategic goals. So the work that we're going to present tonight specifically ties into goal number 3 there, connecting beyond our classrooms to provide resources, opportunities, and experiences for our students to connect to the world beyond their classrooms and to become informed and empathetic agents of change in the world. All right, so when you dive into that goal, there were a series of major activities. So through a multi-year approach toward implementation, the district will develop a mindset of student, local, and global citizenship through modernized curriculum and expanded community partnerships, create student pathways at the high school level, support diverse learners through increased educational opportunities for STEAM, career and technical education, and examine grant opportunities, internships, mentorship, and skill development. So those are the major activities that this presentation is speaking towards. So I wanted to start by highlighting the current STEM electives that we offer at the high school level. So I'm not going to read through all of the electives on the screen here. As you can see, there are 26 full year electives offered at the accelerated level, the honors level, as well as AP level. And then we're also fortunate enough to have 10 semester electives. And the majority of these have actually been introduced in the past 2 years, with 4 of them going to be new for next year. That's the science of cooking, animal behavior, toxicology, and neuroscience and society. So lastly, I wanted to highlight thinking about those 4 new courses that are going to be rolled out next school year. 405 students at the high school level have requested to enroll in one of those new courses. So there's a tremendous amount of student interest in the courses. In totality, when you look at all 36 of those STEM electives across the high schools, there's 2,921 course requests, which represents approximately 84% of our student population. So tremendous student interest in the STEM fields, and I'm proud to be able to offer these programs to our children. I'll pass it over to Dr. Damon.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
First, we wanted to start off with the New Jersey Department of Education definition for career and technical education. And in that definition, you will find three major tenets. One is that it is innovative and performance-driven educational experience that promotes equity and excellence for all students. It also offers instruction, experience, and industry certification in high-wage, in-demand careers. It also combines academic and technical coursework that provides a streamlined pathway to post-secondary. And about this, the important things to remember here are that it is innovative, performance-driven, that it is instruction, experience, and it offers industry certification for our students in high-wage, in-demand areas. And also it provides a streamlined pathway to post-secondary education. So as we began this work, we wanted to see what the student interest was, because we see that we have almost all the components to have career in tech, because we have all of the courses already running in our classrooms. So we did a survey of the three high school students, the alternative, East and West. We sent it out to all students. While we only got 885 respondents, it was just about a little bit short of the average 33 that you could expect. What we found when we gave that was a majority of the students in the first graph showed that if they had career and technical education courses in their classrooms, they definitely would take it. And I will go over and explain a little bit more of what it means to be career in tech as opposed to elective courses. The other graph just shows you that we got a fair amount of students grades 9 through 12. And then also you will see that we also surveyed students as far as what type of programs that they would offer. And I'm sorry if this is not in your slide. I made a few changes today, but it will be, you'll get a copy of it. So as we started thinking about the courses that we already had and how we can turn them into CTE programs, you'll see where we fit right now is we have design and build, and associated zip code is architecture and construction, business, marketing, and finance. We have culinary arts, we have digital media communications, computer science technology, medical careers / allied health. We have JROTC, we have engineering, we have graphic design, engineering, theater and performing arts, and also law and public safety options already offered as electives. What we want to do is to take these electives and put them together in a specific scope and sequence of courses that will help students then decide and be able to be more marketable. One, when they go to post-secondary and they apply for college, they can show that they've already had some of the industry certifications. They sometimes are able to test out of certain courses, but also it makes them look more competitive because they go in as a student who may have more experience in this career pathway than an average student. So it was a specific process that you have to undergo to become a approved program of study in career and technical education. And I outlined the steps right here. What we had to do is we had to do a thorough review of the courses that we had to make sure that we were capable and we had the capacity to do so, which you see we've done. We did a thorough literature review. My dissertation was all about career and tech, but just because that was older, I still wanted to do some more research on career pathways and things like that, just to make sure it was still current and viable. We surveyed the students. Also, we met with New Jersey Department of Education CTE leads, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. We did what was called a comprehensive local needs assessment, and that's something that you have to do if you're going to seek Perkins funding. And what that is when you talk to students, parents, industry partners, community stakeholders, and you just share with them the different data points about your programs, the courses you have. You ask them about what it is they need out in the industry. And then you together decide, is it a viable opportunity? Does this make sense to do? And overwhelmingly, all of our partners and the participants said, this is something that we should do. Another thing is we had to strengthen and create current and new partnerships. And I'm very excited to say that Jefferson Health, right across the street from our high school, came on board and offered us 16 new internships. And what we found is that once you start with one partner, others want to get on board once they see how successful it is. So that is only a start. We did have a conversation with Cooper Health, and they just want to kind of hold off and see while the pandemic is in place. But I'm certain that once we successfully move through this partnership with Jefferson, they will be on board. The other interesting thing about it is that even though they're a health system, there are many other internships that our students can get, like in the dietary, in the business office, in environmental. So this opens up a whole new avenue for all of our students. We also were able to partner with and collaborate with the Camden County Workforce. Through that partnership, they had gotten a grant for summer opportunities. And because we are a partner, it almost secures places for our students in their limited slots. So because we're a partner, they come to us and ask us for students first. And then the last step is to complete the online approval process for CTE. So what I wanted to show you is when we had our local needs assessment meeting with our partners, we had to give them specific information, and this is the information that we shared. I'm just using these two programs, the business marketing and finance, and then after this, you will see the design and build program. But it gives an overall description of the program. It gives you just a few job titles, and then it tells you whether the job is in demand or not. And then the salary, state and local salaries, and the percentage at which it is to go higher and higher, the industry demand for the programs. One thing I can say is we limited to just 3 career pathways in each one because of space. But when you begin to think of business, marketing, and finance, you know that it's just the opportunities are endless for our students. In addition to that, we had to share with our partners that all of our programs actually align with and meet the standards per New Jersey Department of Education. And so that's what you see there. All of our students upon completion of our programs will meet these standards. So when you look at the high school program, there are associated programs. The state requires that you, at the very least, align 3 programs together sequentially to create a career and technical education program. And so here we use, for example, what we already have: Intro to Business, Business Management and Entrepreneurship, and Business Law. Those would be the 3 programs that students would have to take to be completers. As part of their programming also, they have to get work-based learning experience. And so we just kind of straddled it out so that in 10th grade, we would have guest speakers come in. They would have shadowing opportunities. We could also do community service that would count. In the 11th grade, we're looking at our students to do more structured, unpaid internships. And then by 12th grade, because already, again, we have in place, our students can get a half-day schedule where they would have paid internships. So in order, again, to be a program of study, you have to have a post-secondary partner aligned to you already. Again, I'm telling you, this was just like walking into something that already existed. We already have dual enrollment opportunities with Camden County for our business and finance program, and they're listed there. Our students would or could take the NOCTI. What I've since learned is what the state is in New Jersey, students are not required to take the NOCTI. They're more concerned that our students actually get the industry credential. So in speaking with our teachers, what they said is our students could certainly get the Microsoft Office suite, but there are also other certifications. Our students are also already a part of DECA. I think they're out now still at DECA on competition. And so we would already meet that that criteria as well. So then we just go on and look at the other program, which is design and build, and it goes into the construction and architecture field. It gives an overall description, just a few of the job titles, the salaries aligned. And one thing that I can say that I'm super excited that I've learned about this field is when you get a contractor, quite often the contractor may do the work, but if you're trying to get an addition or a renovation, they then have to go and contract with someone to do the plans, architectural designs. But in a program like this, our children are actually learning to do the design and also to build the work. So I think this is actually broadening our students' horizon even more. And again, here are the architecture and construction career cluster standards by New Jersey Department of Education. And again, when our students complete the program, they will have met each and every one of these standards. Here are the courses associated with this program. We already have Intro to Engineering, and/or we also have robotics. But this year, next year, we're going to start design and build 1, 2, and 3. So we would just have one section of students who would be designated career and tech students. Then for their learning shadow experience, it would be the same as the other programs. In 10th grade, they just start out with guest speakers and small shadowing opportunities. 11th grade, they move into unpaid internships. And then in 12th grade, they would then work in the half-day work schedule. Now, for this particular program, because it's new, we do not currently have a dual enrollment opportunity, but we are currently in conversations with Camden County College, and we are looking at 2 classes. What they're saying in the early review is because of the software that we are using, they feel that we would be primed to have a dual enrollment approved shortly. And again, if we needed to take the NOCTI, our students would take the NOCTI, but there is also industry credentials, and that is the Certified Drafter by the American Design and Drafting Association and Autodesk Certified User by Autodesk. And our students would participate in Skills USA. And here also are just a few of the job titles with the associated salaries that the students could aspire to. And again, these are just the standards that our students would complete for this particular program, and every program would have its own standards. Am I seeing this again? Okay. So here okay. So what you're about to see, there it is. What we put together was a very specific scope and sequence for our students. Now, they don't have to follow this, but if you want to maximize the opportunity here, what is important to share with our parents are that if you were to follow this prescribed scope and sequence, our students could actually end up with 36 college credits at the end, industry credential, and work-based learning experience. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I know if my daughter could have gotten at least 1 year of college paid for while in high school, I would have certainly went for that. And so these are the options. Now, certainly students can decide, I don't want to take the AP now. I want to do, a music or something else. That is certainly their option. They would only be bound to the 3 specific CTE courses in the course of their high school experience. And so, it's important to note that career and technical education is a very expensive undertaking. However, Department of Education coming out of Washington has a commitment, and also coming out of our state. We qualified and were awarded $175,000 grant for building capacity in career and technical education that will go over 3 years to get us started and on our way to help build, implement the program, to design the curriculum, to train our teachers. It will also help with equipment, because equipment is very costly for these programs. Also, on a more sustainable front, we have options to apply for, which we certainly will, the Carl Perkins, and that supports career and technical education. We've recently learned about a Harbor Freight Tools for Schools prize, which our teachers can get tools and things like that. And as you know, we do have a grant writer, and every time something comes out, we do certainly apply for it. Also, what I've recently learned is even with the ESSER grants and the funds that come out, many of the career and technical education schools are utilizing that for either college dual enrollment associated with CTE or summer programming. Now, with career and technical education, it's very important to know that, one, I put in big bold letters, it's no longer your old vo-tech. I don't know if any of you remember, like I remember Grease, the movie Grease is one of my favorite movies. It's not that anymore, right? This is now when they changed it from vo-tech to career and tech. What they really believe is that our children have to meet certain standards. They have to aspire higher. And so with that, most schools now have an eligibility criteria. What we propose with our stakeholders are just very minimal criteria, which is for attendance, discipline, and academics or grades. It's important to consider though, because we've had special ed parents also online with us, that students will have their modifications and accommodations considered with this. So a student who is given all the supports necessary should still come to school, right? Now, certainly in times like this, with the pandemic, we would make allowances, you know, if it was for something like that or a medical situation. But if you're talking about getting students into the workplace and or even going to college, they have to come to school, right? The same thing with discipline. Quite often in career and technical education, you're talking about dealing with heavy machinery, sharp objects. So students have to have a disposition for that. And also they have to demonstrate that they're willing to level up to such high rigorous academics if they're going to be in CTE. And that's it. Any questions?
So first of all, thank you. It's very exciting to see us moving forward with CTE because it's so important. I have a few questions. It sounds to me like there's almost an expectation, even with the CTE, that it's going to go to secondary education, you know, further education, I should say. And I guess it sounds like there's certifications that our students can get while in high school that they could take 2 careers right away if they're not on a path to college. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So when we talk about career and tech, we're talking about college and career. But it's important to note that the more education you have, the more income you'll make over your lifetime. There's research to support that. And so the hope is that we instill and inspire in students that they would move on to some type of post-secondary, because if they do go out with unless they're doing technology or something, you know, innovative, and that doesn't come along as much, we want to create lifelong learners in our students. And we're just kind of giving them that opportunity to see their way clear. One thing that we talk about with these internships, especially at the hospital, is you might find a student who after they graduate, they actually start working full-time and then they get tuition reimbursement. And so we want to plant seeds like that for our children.
Thank you. So the other thing I wanted to ask about when I was looking at the design. So one of the things I hear about a lot is CAD design being used in a lot of different industries. But it doesn't, is that part of what we're offering the curriculum, or it does not look like CAD is specifically part of it?
So I think the certification that you saw was Autodesk by CAD. So it is what the software that they use in design and build.
Okay, I have no idea. I just hear the word CAD all the time and I just wanted to check on that one. That's it. Thank you.
Ms. Friedel?
Thank you very much, Dr. Damon, Mr. Goldthorpe. I mean, this is one of our goals that we established was to look at that career pathway. So this is really exciting. My question is, and I only have one, is you mentioned that you surveyed the students and that you surveyed the students across both the East and West high schools and alternative high school. So these programs will be available at all 3 locations, or they will only be available at the 2 high school, I don't know how to, comprehensive, thank you, high schools?
So what we did was, right now, it's my understanding that the programs will only be offered at East and West. However, I did come over and I talked with Ms. Giordana, and we talked about, options for alternative. We talked about for those students who may be ready, maybe this might be an opportunity to bring them back to the high school. If not, maybe they just come over like they do for some shared time schools. They come over for their program and then they return back.
I just think it's very important that the students who are at alternative high school who may also be looking for a career path are not overlooked in this implementation.
Absolutely. That's why we wanted to include their voice. Thank you.
Mrs. Elmore Stratton?
Yes, thank you so much. I definitely was excited and gave everybody the trailer to this in my report out the last meeting. So I had a couple questions though. So for the CIP codes, are those the codes that are related to in the actual certificate program, like something similar to the, I guess it's the adult training type stuff where it corresponds with a specific career or career path?
Yes, I think it's called the Classification of Instructional Program, and that's also aligned with workforce development nationally.
That's what I figured. Okay. And then the other question was, since we have worked out with the, or you've partnered with the WIB over here in Camden County, are we going to be required to have like specifics in terms of, I know with the adult learners, which I work with, there's specifics that our facilities have to have in place, or in order to keep our guest certification or ability to certificate students. Do we have any of those that the board needs to be aware of?
So right now, I'm going to say for the programs that we're proposing, we are pretty good because we already have the courses running. What I will say is, as technologies become more innovative, like when they came out with what was that, like the maker space rooms and things like that, we will probably have to over time get more modern equipment.
Okay, so I just, as a board, we should think about that, especially with future budgeting and things like that. And then my last question is kind of towards what Mrs. Stern was saying. So it'll be offered at both the schools, but will it still follow the same pathway, the same process that we currently do with electives, where if it's not enough students, like you're not going to set up to run all of these at both sites, correct?
So right now we are, and it would be just a section of students for CTE, because in order to classify as a CTE student, you have to commit to all 3 courses over time. And so that may only be one section right now.
Okay, so we will have, and they don't still, and this could be totally dating myself because I was getting ready to say, isn't this like co-op back in the day? But I know that's not a thing. But do they have the ability to go cross campuses for things or no?
So we haven't like solidified that, but I can tell you, we've been talking about that.
Okay, and I just know from my days, that was a big thing, like, oh, they got cosmetology at East, I want to take the bus there. So I didn't know how that still works, but this is awesome. It's definitely something we've talked about in terms of our goals. So thank you so much for sharing.
All right, thank you.
Mrs. Arroyo?
Just one question. The partnership with the Workforce Development Board, that's the summer employment program that you're talking about?
Yes.
So yeah, that's separate from, I think, what you were saying, because the summer employment program
It's a separate
employees,
piece.
it's like on the job work experience that pays $15 an hour for students.
Yeah,
So it's, I think that was different from what you were asking, right?
yeah, there's the separate piece I'm talking about is the 16 to 24 youth at risk, and that's different from these.
That's
'cause these
different too.
students would get. they
Although
come at IG.
that's a good mention, because the 16 to 24, the Workforce Development Board also has that partnership where students in high school can get on the job experience that they're currently operating right now in certain fields that are in high demand in the county.
Yes, and just by us exploring career and tech and getting involved with them, they've actually come over and talked to our students. And so the wonderful part about it is that whether students are career and tech or not, they're going to benefit from the opportunities.
All right, I will, no, actually, I do have a question. So, first of all, I just wanted to check my own calculator. So 36 credits is a year of college credit. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to, I mean, obviously this is, prepared, but I would be curious to see how we could get to 2 years. Not for every student, but like in the journey and what that looks like, but that's not for tonight. My question for tonight is, as it relates to business, if business is seeing this, I mean, I'm just looking at a fairly crowded room. If people want to engage with the district, how do they find you? How do they get into an onboarding process for an internship, a shadowing, a site visit, all the ways that we would love for this community to engage with us? What's their first step?
So right now, we're getting our teachers certified to be coordinators for structured learning experience. And once they're certified, we have one, but she's a science teacher. But our activities coordinator will also be getting that certification. Then we'll create a full system of how we do that. Right now, we're just kind of doing it with the people that we have in place.
All right, thank you. And I do want to thank you for linking right into the goals. Great presentation. I'd like, love to get this as often as we can. So thank you. And I'll turn to Mr. Mayor next.
Thank you. First, to both of you, thank you, not just the two of you, but also the staffs that have worked to support you and give all these opportunities to all the students. Anecdotally, I can tell you an unusual problem I had with our two high school West students and one on his way to West was that they were so excited about the various opportunities, especially some of these new electives, STEM electives, that we had a difficult time sort of paring that down into what they should really try for first, and then maybe as alternates. So that's a great problem, and the fact that that dynamic hopefully was repeated in a number of households in Cherry Hill, and we look forward to even more of these opportunities as these types of courses become even broader. Just a couple of questions. One, following up to Mr. Ovadia, with regard to the community's ability to interact, engage with you, and provide opportunities to students, for instance, for shadowing and guest presentations to come into classrooms and maybe talk about what they do and open some eyes in the students. How does the community do that? How would someone who maybe thinks they have some career opportunities, career advice they can give students, how do they reach out to you? Who do they reach out to? What is that process?
So it seems like it's a lot of ways you can do it, because I'm finding that even our teachers are very skilled at creating resources for their classrooms. So they may know the teacher, they may reach out directly to the teacher, but if not, they could just reach out to the principal right now, either one of us.
And as far as internships, obviously that's something that we feel as a board is tremendously valuable, and as educators, you understand the value of that. If there's a specific role that you feel the board has that could help support your efforts in engaging the community and businesses and government for that matter, and providing other internship opportunities, we would love to continue to hear from you and engage in that conversation. Outside of Jefferson and hopefully maybe Cooper in the near future, are you looking at internships outside of the healthcare area? Are there anyone else sort of on the line that might be coming on board?
Yes, we actually do have a few others. One is environmental solutions. We've been working with Wawa, Penn Medicine, but that's in healthcare. And there was another one, but I can't remember.
Again,
Dr. Damon, if I could just jump in quickly, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Avadia, one of the things related to career and technical education is that we must provide students with structured-based learning experiences as well as industry-based experience. And the question that you ask in regards to having opportunities for us to be community-facing and have community members engage, we specifically have to have community outreach meetings. I don't know the exact term of those meetings, where we invite members of the community who have industry-based experience to interface with us. They also have opportunities to meet with students as well as to connect with staff. So an example of that, when we were accepting CTE funds, occurred where, for example, Bill Kovnat, who's a teacher of photography over at Cherry Hill High School East, met with students. He had connections who were industry-based. He invited them into our school. Students were able to showcase their work and what they are doing in the classroom, how that is connected to the CTE standards that you saw presented this evening, and then connect them to industry-based experiences for students to have real-world examples. So that's how we really work to bring community members into our schools, but it is a requirement that you have community discussion and invite people into the district.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Stern.
Thank you. Along those lines, the guidance, I'm wondering about like first of all, I'm thinking, we don't talk about this much, but Parent-Teacher Association, you know, we have a lot of parents who are engaged and they may have industry folks. So that may be just as we're thinking about this, you know, where does this go? I'm wondering about guidance counselor involvement with guiding students and also parent education about what's going on. I mean, I actually saw the email about the Camden County workforce. I looked at that application. It was extremely long. But, you know, so some parents do read those emails, some don't. But I think, how are we going to make that outreach so that parents can help support their students, if, you know, and also that students who may or may not have that coming from home have those opportunities introduced to them in school.
So as part of the building capacity for CTE grant, we're going to do extensive professional development. We're having a summer program as part of that for students interested in CTE. And we're also having a few parent sessions to go along with that.
All right, thank you so much. We really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Next, we will turn to the board. Is there any correspondence that board members would like to share at this time? Ms. Stern?
So very briefly, I missed you, Mr. Mayor, when I did go to the West Jazz concert, which you and I talked about maybe trying to get to together. And that was the Wednesday right before break. And it was just phenomenal. It was the first time that West has had a jazz concert. And, you know, just when this is my experience every time I go, just when you think that the performances are amazing, the next one's even more amazing. It was really exciting. And the students were so engaged and energetic. It was such a nice, it was a really, really nice vibe. So I was very impressed, and I'm hoping it will be something that will become the first of an annual. Not that I have a say in that, but that was just my hope. So it was great.
Dr. Rude.
Yesterday, I was able to extend my spring break just a little bit by attending the choral concert at East. It was in the morning. They had the Philadelphia Gay Men's Chorus join the High School East Chorus. The Gay Men's Chorus did their own set of songs and then joined East Chorus for a final final song together. It was, I think several months ago, I mentioned, when COVID was weighing heavily on everybody, I said, what are we doing for joy? And I was really happy to be able to go and listen to the music on Monday morning, because I definitely felt joy in the room and felt joyful. The members of the chorus, several of them gave kind of testimonials as to why they sing, why they wanted to try out for a chorus. And it was inspirational. It was lovely. I believe it was put on it was organized by the music department and by the Gay Straight Alliance at East. As we see some really unpleasant things in the wider world, it was really nice to sit there at East, and in that auditorium, I felt like I was in a safe space. It was just really wonderful, and just as a board member, I just want all of our community to know that we support all of our students. In this case, it was really nice to be able to support our LGBTQ students. It was really special. So thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Rood. Since last we met, I did two fun things on board business. I went to the multicultural dance evening at East on April 13th. This year's theme was A Journey Through History. And it was quite vibrant and acrobatic, and I got some pretty good pictures too. Really enjoyed it. So we had culture clubs. We had the Chinese, Indian, Vietnamese, African-American, and Korean culture clubs that put on some just simply phenomenal. I think they've been working on that since September. And if they have, that's true. It certainly showed, because it was extremely impressive and fun, and a lot of light effects, a lot of running, a lot of you could tell that everyone was having a great time. And so I think they presented the following day to the students, so what a treat. But I guess we got a little bit of a preview the night before. And then last evening I joined Dr. Malash and Sally, and together we were at Town Council to recognize two High School West students. Sanaya Saunders, a senior at West as flight commander, and Elani Ubari, a freshman at West, who is a very accomplished, at this point, wrestler, and about 3 more years to see where that's going to go. But so far, both delightful individuals and their families were there, and it was quite a nice event. Kicked off the night at Town Council in quite a celebratory manner, and great to be part of that. Anyone else? All right, wonderful. Our next item of business is student rep reports. And because we started with East, I believe last time, we will start with Kevin to give us the report from West.
Hi, thank you. I am Kevin Salvatorelli from High School West, and we're going to start off with some school news. So in testing, NJSLA testing will begin on May 25th and will continue throughout that week. Students will take science, English language arts, math, and math standardized tests in the morning, while students not testing will follow a delayed opening schedule. AP testing will begin on May 2nd and will continue until May 13th, and students will have an opportunity to show off their knowledge and earn college credit by just sitting for a test for $100, way cheaper than college. Senior trip and senior parent meetings. Cherry Hill West senior trip is coming up, leaving the evening of May 17th for Disney World. This year, West is sending 55 seniors, and Cherry Hill West will also be holding senior parent meetings to discuss important information for the end of the school year, including information about graduation and senior trip. One is being held actually right now and finishing up, and the other will be held on May 4th. We've also begun the process of searching for next year's student board representatives. We have many quality candidates so far, and we'll be beginning the interview process soon. In activities news, the junior dinner dance will be held at Riverton Country Club on Thursday, April 28th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. West is also proud to be sending 5 juniors to BoE State this June. BoE State is a week-long program that teaches high school juniors about the structure of our government, how it functions. During the week, West students will get the opportunity to learn hands-on by creating a mock 51st state, running for elected positions, proposing bills, and passing laws. Also, more than 200 students in grades K through 12 from across our school district will gather on Friday, May 13th, with a rain date of May 20th at the High School West Stadium for the Star Games, which is an event designed to celebrate the talents of students with special needs and provide them the opportunity to compete at a high level. Star Games will include competitions in track and field events, discus, and low hurdles, as well as games such as wiffle ball and beach volleyball. The event will be held at the West Stadium. In performing arts news, Spongebob the Musical will open on May 4th and run through the 7th. This will be our first fully in-person spring musical since Chicago in 2019, which was my freshman year. This is very exciting for everyone, as it has been so long. And the West Stage crew is working very hard on the upcoming production of SpongeBob, and they are currently painting sets, hanging and running cables for lights, projections, and sound equipment, and working through rehearsals. There's a rehearsal going on right now. Instrumental Music would like to wish the best of luck to the West Jazz Ensemble this coming Saturday as they compete in the 2022 NJAJE New Jersey State Jazz Finals at Burlington City High School. They will be performing around 9 p.m. In athletics news, Pride in the W. Members of the varsity baseball team have been handing out Pride in the W shirts to educators who have made a difference in their educational experience this academic year. Players also helped run a baseball camp through the Cherry Hill Recreation Department. In other news, the CTE presentation that Dr. Damon and Mr. Goldthorpe just went through, they talked about the new careers and technical education programs that'll be starting next year, as well as future expansions to the program. West students are very excited to see new pathways to a career. This has been one of a lot of our students' biggest requests for multiple years. In student comments, many West students have expressed concern about the transfer of teachers between schools for next year. However, they do understand the complicated nature of such decisions. And we'd also like to thank the Board of Education for returning to committee meetings. We think that they are a very valuable way to have increased discussion, as it's very hard to talk on this large table here. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, as always, we need the very best for student board reps, so make sure those interviews are rigorous. All right, next we'll turn to Ariana to give us the report from East.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Ariana. Thank you for coming today. So, like every report, start with school updates. We're coming back from spring break. Students are getting used to their routine again. It does get a little bit harder with the end of the year coming up, but IP tests are coming up, so everyone's getting back to normal. We had junior prom, which was April 7th at Outlet of Caterers. While it was raining, the venue was very pretty and everybody looked their best and everyone had a really good time. And I did see people from all the 4 grades there and everyone had a good time and the food was really good. Switching to more academic stuff, again, AP testing starts next week. It is a very stressful 2 weeks. So if you're someone who's taking AP tests, please get some sleep, please. With graduation coming up, deadlines for senior grad speeches are coming up. So any student can turn in a speech for either opening address, the closing speech, or a senior class address. And again, I encourage any senior to turn in a speech. Continuing with senior related news, our CHE Activities Instagram page has started to feature Class of 22 Hall of Fame students. The Hall of Fame is made up of 46 students this year who have manifested outstanding achievement and leadership and contributed to the betterment of Cherry Hill High School East. So far, students such as Dylan Butler, Jonathan Caldes, and Michelle Berry have been featured for their participation not only at East, but also in our community as well. Also, Mr. East is this Friday from 7 to 10 in the auditorium. I encourage everyone to be there. This year, students such as Tim Ackerman, Kyler Petrie, and Jonathan Caldes are participating. So again, please go. It's very fun. Moving on to sports for softball, according to Coach Pfeiffer, this is the best season we have had in 10 plus years. And there's a new talented players willing to grow even more. And we came out of a 27 loss hole from last season to a few amazing wins to start the season off. For volleyball, they're also having an amazing season and they're looking to win the conference this year. For lacrosse, we're having the best season best start to a season we've had in a while. With new coaching staff, we're looking to win this division and a playoff game for the first time. For tennis, we're having a pretty solid season. We have really good seniors. But of course we miss our home courts, which we're hoping to get done this year. Moving on to our clubs, CHE Feminist Student Union is having a menstrual product drive. All of their donations are going to I Support Girls, which is an organization that has distributed millions of menstrual products to people who have a hard time accessing these products and people who just can't access these products in general. Multicultural Day, as was mentioned before, was the Thursday before spring break. Vietnamese Culture Club, Korean Culture Club, Indian Cultural Society, Chinese Students Association, and African American Culture Club all performed dances. All of these dances can be found on the Eastside YouTube, and I do recommend everybody watch them. They're very good, and we have been working on them since September, at least twice a week since September, so please go watch them. The theme was Journey Through History, and every culture club also put up a booth with food and information about their culture, such as the history of their dances, their clothes, and even the history of their food. I personally enjoyed the Jewish Student Union snacks and the German Club snacks. And I went after lunchtime, and by the time it was lunch, there was like nothing left. So again, every student enjoys this day. I think it's my favorite day out of the year. MCD was amazing. I wasn't there for freshman year, but I do think it was better than freshman year. And if anyone, again, would like to see those recordings and pictures of the booths, they are all on Eastside and stuff like that. Lastly, as Kevin mentioned before, the topic of teacher reassignments. There has been quite some unrest among the students due to the sudden news of these teacher reassignments. And as expected, many students are upset that some of their favorite teachers are leaving. And with so many teachers leaving, they're worried about our East atmosphere in general being changed. Student leaders among our East community have gathered to measure student response and really appreciate your ears and understanding as we move forward. Again, we really appreciate your time and these meetings to discuss matters like this. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I don't know, I know we have a competition day coming up that at least some board members are going to be going athletically between East and West. So neither of you mentioned it, but I don't think, but it's going to be exciting, and we'll see, we'll see who the best is. I mean, we don't know, but we're going to find out. So, all right, wonderful. Looking forward to that as well. All right, that brings us to our first public comment. There will be two more opportunities for public comment this evening. This is the first of those two additional ones. This session is for board action items only. So these are items 13 through 16. There will be another public comment section for any topic at the end of this meeting. If you are a student in the district, you may comment on any agenda item during the first public comment period. Actually, well, you can actually do any topic. But again, you need to indicate that you are a student, especially electronically. It's going to be less obvious to us. If you'd like to speak now, please identify the agenda item and clearly state your name and municipality. Your name in full, please. We will alternate between speakers here in the room and those that are online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Cherry Hill is a community that values education very much, and educational topics often bring out a passionate response. The Cherry Hill Board of Education supports a school climate in which our diversity is a source of strength and all are included. Respect is foundational in how we treat you and how we treat each other and how we support our administration and staff in their essential work. Please join us in practicing the utmost respect for all. And with that, I will turn to the room and look for students. All right. You have the floor.
Hi, and thank you for your time today. My name's Devin Levin, and I'm a senior at Cherry Hill East. I'm the school president, and I'm here to voice the concerns of the student body over the administration's arbitrary decision to relocate 9 teachers from East. The last 2 years have been challenging, to say the least. From the beginning of the lockdown to a full year of quarantine, our Cherry Hill schools have all suffered hardships and are just now starting to transition. back to some sense of normalcy. Now, the administration has decided to inflict additional hardship by moving 9 teachers, many of whom are essential to the East community. In order to better understand the situation, a group of student leaders and I reached out to Dr. Malash and Dr. Perry for answers. We understand that there may be ratios which may dictate the reallocation of resources from one school to another within the district. However, the methodology without transparency of a fair and reasonable explanation makes these moves seem punitive. What other explanation could there be, for example, to relocate an AP certified teacher with 20+ years to a middle school with no AP courses? It does not appear that there is any consideration given to the disruption of the school's community. Due to the number of reallocations and the choice of teachers that are integral to both the education and culture of our school, our student community is unable to accept the administration's decision without further explanation, and we ask that this decision be reconsidered. The frustration and outrage by both students and parents have been overwhelming. The administration cannot hurt our community like this without explanation. Many of the teachers identified for relocation have taught at East for decades and are experts in their courses of instruction and are advisors for clubs and sports. These teachers are important in getting students through a pandemic. It is a divisive blow to a community that is trying so desperately to keep united mentally and physically. We acknowledge that this matter is a complex one, and we are open to further discussion on the matter. However, the administration made the decision to move a significant number of teachers without providing any information or explanation. On its face, the decision does nothing but cause division in our already weakened community as a whole and hurt many students in the district that seek to take these courses and be involved in extracurricular activities. The Cherry Hill Public School District should always seek to prioritize the quality of education and experience for all of its students.
Thank you. We appreciate your comment. I'm going to turn next. Sorry. Okay, all right, are there any students in the room that would like to go next? Okay, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Chris Shin, a junior at High School East, and I'm the all-school president-elect for the upcoming school year. I'd like to add on to Devin's comments with some other aspects of East students' regards on this relocation decision of 9 East teachers and staff. Before saying anything, I'd like to clarify that we, the East students, are not trying to secure valuable resources within the East community, nor do not resist change. As the next generation community leaders and participants, we always put our larger community as a whole in our highest priority of concern, and also always pursuing positive changes, seeking to improve our learning environment and community spirit, and etc. Once again, we understand that there will be emerging needs to reallocate resources within the district for overall learning efficiency throughout the district. And we get that this decision of teacher relocations would be along the long-term path toward this type of developmental effort. However, as a core part of the East community, we must point out the following. Is this magnitude of relocations definitely necessary, despite the anticipated negative impacts on academics, activities, sports, and community teamwork and spirit? One of the huge concerns brought by the student body is that the district's actions of decision-making, action, announcements, implementation plan were respectful enough to the teachers and staff who were chosen for forced relocations, to the students who would be influenced directly by the decision, and also to the school community, which builds teamwork and school spirit over the years, especially after the pandemic. I don't want to bring up any specific examples of teachers today, but rather voice students' concern that the district could have been more respectful to the community when making such an important decision. On behalf of the 2,000+ East student body, we ask the district administration team to please reconsider the last relocation decision before it brings such a magnitude of negative impacts on our school community, and to seek for more respectful ways while pursuing for overall learning efficiency. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Thank you. Yes, okay. We have another student who will be, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Kieran Corson, Cherry Hill. I'm a senior at Cherry Hill West, and I thought I'd additionally talking about the transference of teachers, and I thought it'd be interesting just to start off by saying how I heard about it, because I was sitting in the middle of a free period I had in the middle of the school day, and a close friend of mine texted me saying that his teacher had bursted into tears in the middle of class crying because she had been told that she was getting transferred away from the school she's been teaching at. This is now her 22nd year. At West, a lot of our teachers are more than just educators or people that force us to do our homework or take tests. Our teachers are important people to us that impart the wisdom of all their years of teaching, of all the different things that they've learned throughout their lives, and they can show us through their education. The teacher, Miss Minutolo, is additionally she runs DECA for Cherry Hill West, which has been successful for every year that I've been at West. I've never taken a business class at West, which I think that makes it even more impressive how much she's touched my life with me never having had a class with this woman. All my friends that have done DECA, that have had classes with her, pretty much won't stop talking about her to me. I've heard about her, how great of a teacher she is, and how much she's helped shape their lives the past 4 years of my life. And I think that it is a tragedy to transfer a teacher away from a place where she has been critical for the past 22 years just because of reallocation of resources. Additionally, the atmosphere, I know my fellow students at East talked about that changing atmosphere at their school that they fear in future years. I fear that the atmosphere at West has already changed due to these transferences. Upon hearing about all of this, there is a feeling of fear amongst the teachers at West, and even the students can feel it because everyone is afraid that their favorite teacher could be next. I've had teachers that I've had for the past 4 years now that, as far as I know, aren't on the transference list, but I fear that they could be one day. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after that. So even if the transference of these current teachers doesn't happen, what's to stop it from happening to our favorite teachers next year or further down the line? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Before I move further, for those that are calling in, we do have a special situation for students, but to let you in on that special thing, I got to know you're a student. So if you're online, please indicate that so that we can bump you to the front of the list. I had a feeling. All right, Gina, we have on good authority that you are a student and you are next.
Hi, hello. My name is Gina Liu, and I am a junior at Cherry Hill East. I am also an all-school vice president, as well as the vice president of the New Jersey Association of Student Councils. In order to gather more information on student perspectives regarding the teacher relocation situation, a team of student leaders and I have put together and released a survey filled out by 374 students. And according to this survey, roughly 90% of applicants were concerned that the relocation would result in a drop in quality of academics at East. Around 92% of applicants are concerned that the relocations will negatively impact student activities, such as sports and clubs. Never in East history have so many teachers been relocated so suddenly. The sudden loss of 9 teachers will be greatly felt by the student body in the coming school year, especially now that we are recovering from the ongoing pandemic. In fact, the loss of these teachers are not just felt by student body, but also by teachers and staff as well. Many of these teachers have been teaching for decades and have established connections with their colleagues. This unforeseen relocation will be felt by the departments that these teachers were once part of. In addition, this decision came suddenly. Teachers were completely left in the dark. The lack of transparency and communication from the district has left teachers wondering whether they'd be the next to be transferred. We ask that the district reconsider the transfer of these teachers. While we understand that transfers are normal, one on this level will result in negative impacts for both students and teachers alike. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a student coming up to the mic next. Floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Ye, and I am a sophomore at Cherry Hill East. I'm the current 10th grade class president, and I was just recently elected as the school-wide vice president. And I've come here today, like many of the other students, to talk about the teacher relocations from East to other schools like West and the various middle schools. And a large concern of mine was the how sudden all of the relocations were, especially after the pandemic. And as a leader who is currently organizing student activities, right after COVID, our turnout rate has actually been like maybe less than 0.5%. And many of these students don't know traditions of East. Some people didn't even know that soft-caught was held at East, which has always been a thing. And I've just felt that having all of these teachers suddenly be moved to other schools would significantly hurt our activities and may lead to multiple years after this, just having this very small turnout rates to when it was before the pandemic. Personally, one of my business teachers that I am very fond of, I learned that she is moving to West. I know that one of the West teachers is moving to East. So my business teacher, she is also the DECA advisor, and she's even, I think she's on the chapter board or New Jersey board for DECA. And she's done so much for our school. And I'm even part of mock trials, who she's the advisor of. And I'm very concerned of if our club is going to just disappear next year. And I joined mock trials last year, 9th grade, and I'm like really emotional about this, but I've made a lot of really good friends through mock trials, and I don't want to lose my club. Sorry, but there's no other teacher who has the same dedication as her and who has shown so much care to her students that I really just don't want to lose her. And I'm scared that other students have the same experiences with their own favorite teachers, and I'd hate for them to feel the same way as well. So thank you for your time. Sorry for crying.
Thank you. No, that's okay. We understand. All right. Now, I don't have anyone on the line who is a student. Is there anyone? Wait, hold on. Mr. Short, your time will come. All right, with no students coming by. Oh, no, wait a second. See, it changes instantly with technology. On the line, we have Aiden Rude, who I believe, Dr. Rude, he's a student still, right? Yeah, I think we'll go with my gut. Aiden Rude, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Aiden Rude, pronouns they, them, resident of Cherry Hill. I'm also a student at Cherry Hill High School East, and I have actually been appointed to succeed Ariana next year as the student BoE rep at East. So I'm speaking with that upcoming role in mind as well. In that role, I plan to work hard to represent the entire student body. So like some of my peers before me, I'd mainly like to focus not on my personal opinion, but rather on my understanding of the reactions of the 2,000 students around me. The one personal opinion I will express is that I give the administration the benefit of the doubt amidst the controversy and divisiveness of the situation. I have faith that in some way, I hope the administration is acting in an attempt to aid all students around the district. However, what I hope to express that I've heard and seen around me is that many students do not seem to have that same confidence. Due to the abrupt and minimally communicated nature of these transfers which do not fit the mold of typical transfers which are displacing, as you've heard tonight, deeply rooted members of the communities at both East and West. Students are wondering why, how, and in what kind of logical way these transfers are happening. Students are wondering whether they are due to the academic reasons and the benefit to students that they are hearing in sort of vague explanations that these transfers must be for, or whether there are other reasons. There are all kinds of rumors going around about these transfers being retaliation for things teachers have said, or about them being trying to force teachers out of their positions entirely. There are a lot of beliefs that students have that may be correct or may not, but the fact is that those are the beliefs students currently have. And so while we certainly all understand that there are complex rules around this, and the district may not be able to communicate about certain aspects of a personnel matter, what I hope is that the district can find any way, if not to reconsider these transfers, at least to communicate more about them, because transparency can never be a bad thing. And certainly, as you've heard tonight, many in the high school communities in Cherry Hill are feeling just surprised and hurt by, as Crystal expressed, as others expressed, this fear of losing their teachers, losing parts of the community. So I hope that you can find ways to explain these transfers better to students and members of the community so that people can know the real reasons and hopefully have walk away with better feelings about the benefit that these transfers, if they absolutely must go through, will somehow provide to the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go with Vivian Wrong on the line.
Hi, my name is Vivian Wrong. I am a junior at Cherry Hill High School East, and I have just been chosen to be next year's BoE representative alternate to Aiden, who just spoke. I'd like to start off by first saying that it really is an honor to go to East, and I think one of the most amazing characteristics we have as a school are our amazing staff and faculty. And as many of our students have previously mentioned, it really is a very abrupt decision that sort of just surprised everyone and is really currently disrupting our learning environment today. In this confusion of losing our teachers, people who have been there for us these past 3-4 years, people who we know we can trust, and to suddenly receive this news of having to lose them is really impacting a lot of the students in a major way. Speaking on behalf of East students, I think what we really would like to see is transparency and respect, just respect for what we've all been going through this past year with COVID, all of the uncertainties that have been happening, and transparency and perhaps reasons to this decision. High school students, we do have the ability to comprehend complexities, and we would love to understand perhaps why these changes are being made to our lives. Again, many of the successful clubs that these teachers who are being transferred are in charge of will probably most likely be affected. And this decision sort of makes the student body sort of question the emphasis of education that this district really has on our students' education, because this sudden transferal of teachers will inevitably impact our education in the coming years. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Short. Floor is yours.
Rick Short, 1002 Chelton Parkway. I'm going to talk about section 14.4 concerning the budget. The question is, we have $7 million in ESSER funds for HVAC. Why are we investing it all across the board? Who was the one responsible for making this decision across the board? Some feedback from experts that I've spoken to, and this master mechanic basically looked at me right in the face like a ghost. Like, what's the district doing? He said this: as a 25-year licensed master mechanic for HVAC for the state of New Jersey, in my opinion, the schools are wasting money on Band-Aids in their HVAC system. The entire system needs to be replaced with 100% outside all new air. These need to be considered as proper upgrades. So the question is why aren't we replacing the entire school HVAC in, let's say, Barkley, Kilmer, Woodcrest, and Man? What if the bond fails? If the bond fails, we'll have 19 schools with new head-in replacements. Did you know that there was a study done in Italy that of 10,000 schools, and it looked at the amount of COVID that was spread, and that if you do put new HVAC, you could have an 80%, 82% reduction in cases? So why in the world are we spending $7 million, $5 million, which is from the federal government and SRF funds, on an HVAC system plan that's could fail, could not work? It's almost like having 19 bridges in Cherry Hill and saying, well, you know, let's just paint the bridges. Let's just paint them all so they look real good for everyone, and not replace the 4 that are most likely to fail, the 3 or 4. I think you guys are making a real big mistake moving forward this budget. And I just believe it's a lateral movement to correct it. There's no reason in the world why we would put 19 schools with new head-in controls. And I won't even get into, because I don't have the time. When I spoke to expert Joey Fox from the University of Toronto with the lengthy thing about these just putting in head-in controls, you're basically wasting your money. And if the bond fails, then you're stuck and you won't have 3 or 4 schools that you could have done with full HVAC. And I've said this now 2 times. I've emailed it. I'll be back again.
Thank you. On the line, we have student Harry Turner. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Harry Turner. I'm a junior at Cherry Hill East, and I'm just here to add on to all my peers who spoke before. I obviously don't have much to add because they were all so well spoken on addressing this issue within our school. But I just want to point out my one big problem with this. The glaring hypocrisy in the message sent by administration in this transfer of teachers can be seen in the fact that so many times we're told that the goal of our classes and the courses we're being taught is for student wellness. But when you contrast it with seeing the effect of these transfers on our community, on our teachers, just being in this community every single day and having such a large part of it removed, not only academically, but in extracurriculars, it's really just a disservice to the entire Cherry Hills community and really needs rationale behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll return to the line for Dr. Podowitz. Floor is yours.
Jeff Podowitz, I live in Cherry Hill. The subject is 16.2, second reading of policies, bias, crimes, and bias-related acts, number 8465. First change appears to be changing hate crimes to bias crimes. So instead of the title being hate crimes and bias related acts, the title has become bias crimes and bias related acts. Found on the internet, dated September 13th, 2021, from National Institute of Justice, Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs. Hate crimes, also known as bias crimes, are recognized as distinct category of crimes that have a broader effect than most other kinds of crimes because the victims are not only the crime's immediate targets, but also others like them. The FBI hate crimes, also known as bias crimes, defines this as a criminal offense against a person or property motivated in whole or in part by an offender's bias against race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, gender, or gender identity. I will ask the school district and school board to leave the term hate in the title and not change it to word bias. Also, do not change the word hate to bias in all the places in this document. The distinction between a hate crime and a bias-related act must be preserved. With a change in the latest document, the meaning may become closer. Note from policy 8465, this policy again, a bias-related act need not involve conduct that constitutes a criminal offense. Note the old language of policy 8465 said all hate crimes are also bias acts, but not all bias-related acts will constitute a hate crime. Also, note also from the revised policy, the superintendent or designee shall promptly notify the local police department and the bias investigation officers for the county prosecutor's office when a bias crime or bias-related act has been committed or is about to be committed. Note how actions taken for what was termed a hate crime appear to be similar for the actions for a bias-related act. However, it is determined by the superintendent or a designee if a bias-related act is about to be committed. And what Cherry Hill School District's administration and others believe is the definition of a bias-related act. So please don't make that change. Also, according to 14.4, the total budget for this coming year, 2022-2023, is $248,784,900.
Thank you, Dr. Podowitz. Thanks for calling in once again. We're going to return to the line. Yes, we are. And Kieran, the floor is yours. Just remember to start with your full name, municipality.
Thank you. My name is Kieran Mutithil. So good evening, everyone. My name is Kieran, and I'm a junior at Cherry Hill East. I'm one of the class vice presidents for the class of 2023. And like many of my peers here tonight, I'm here to voice the concerns of my peers on the issues of the sudden teacher relocations that were announced shortly before break. I will not assume to know the motives of the district in deciding to move forward with these transfers or even their process for selecting which teachers at which schools are to be transferred. However, I feel like it is a widespread feeling in the East community and the Cherry Hill community at large that moving forward with these transfers would be a devastating loss to all schools in the district. The East teachers that have been selected without any publicly announced reason to be transferred to other schools around the district each serve a uniquely important role in our school. And as my friend Crystal showed so clearly, they're individually loved and valued by their students. They're all so incredibly talented, and they've passed on their knowledge and passion for learning onto thousands of current and former students. Another concern heard from many is the wasted potential risk by choosing to move forward with these relocations. Taking highly specialized and experienced high school teachers who've been teaching their respective courses for decades and moving them to other middle schools or schools within the district would be a severe misallocation of teaching talent and an unnecessary interruption to their teaching careers, as well as to the learning experiences of the students. It is my hope that the board will acknowledge the mass public disapproval in regards to these relocations and strongly reconsider moving forward with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to turn to Annie Dollarton on the line. Floor is yours.
Hello, my name's Annie Dollarton. I'm a 2021 East graduate, and I'm also the daughter of one of the 9 teachers that's being transferred.
Now, Ms. Dollarton, I understand you're an alum of the school, but do you have an agenda item for the first public comment for your comments tonight?
I'm going to be speaking about the transfer teachers.
So we're not voting on that tonight. So your comment is more than welcome, but you have to wait for the second public comment period.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go with Richard Dodd on the line.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For 14.1 regarding the budget.
And I'm just, could you start with your full name and municipality as well?
Sure. Richard Dodd, and I am in Cherry Hill School District. I have 3 students that attend elementary school within the district. And I am interested in seeing if it's available to have a more specific breakdown of how the special education services budget of close to $2.5 million will be allocated. Specifically, how much of that money I think it'd be important for the community to be aware of how much of that money is used towards providing IEP, child study team resources, what types of supports, special education services will be utilizing for the students within the district. And so that's all. I was just looking to see if there could be more transparency with how the allocations for the special education services will be distributed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please email Dr. Melange. There's more available. I think we would need more specifics, but Dr. Melange can either direct you to the right place for more information as you're requesting.
Thank you.
All right, and is anyone else coming up for first public comment? Okay. I then will turn it over to Dr. Melange to provide superintendent comments.
Thank you, Mr. Ovadia. Let me start just by addressing a couple of the questions that came up in the budget hearing. Those questions, because the board is going to be acting on those this evening. There's a question about Barclay and about changing, if things need to be adjusted, if they're the first one to have work done. Yes, that certainly will be adjusted moving forward for it. We do not have, all we've heard about the free meals for next year, which again is sponsored and run by the Department of Agriculture at the federal level, is that it's set to extinguish at the end of June. We have not heard that that is going to continue. It was conspicuously left out of the additional legislation, the additional funding that was provided by the federal government. So our expectation is that we will be back in a situation where it would be children qualifying for free and reduced meals or children paying for meals when they're accessing them at school, either breakfast or lunch. There's a question about the large benefit increase for this next academic year. We look at the aggregate of the benefit increase over the course of a number of years. We had a higher increase this year compared to very low increases the last 2 years. One of the things that factors into that is the experience rating based on the use by the people who take the benefits in the district and what that looks like. We actually are not down in enrollment in comparison to we were 2 years ago. Even when there is a shift, could be a shift of 100 or 200 kids in enrollment. Very rarely is that shift in one building in a school. So again, when you take that across the entire district, that does not impact our staffing based on the numbers. I think that was all of the questions about the budget that need answers. So let me also talk a little bit about teacher transfer and the teacher transfer period. So first, I'm grateful to the students, who were here in person this evening and who had the opportunity to call in and to make comments. I know that there are adults, I'm sure, who are sitting here in the audience and some who have called in, who would look forward to making comments as we move forward. Let me start by saying there's not a whole lot of detail that I can go into about teacher transfer or that I can talk about individuals. There are contractual obligations that we have. There's professional responsibility that we as a school district have to each and every one of the employees that we have in the district. There are certain things that we cannot discuss publicly and it would be untoward and not right for us to discuss publicly. Let me say that as an overall blanket, as we're getting started and getting into this. Teacher transfer and reassignment is something that occurs every academic year. It's a natural portion or a natural part of what occurs within a school district, not just in Cherry Hill, but in larger school districts than ours and in smaller school districts than ours. Most often, transfers that occur are intra-school, they're within a school, as opposed to inter or across schools, although there are across schools transfers that take place in Cherry Hill each and every year. They occur sometimes more at the elementary level than they do at the middle school or the high school level, but certainly they have occurred over the course of the decades that the school has been, or the school district has been functioning. When we talk about transferring of students, transferring of staff, there are a number of different reasons that staff members are transferred. What goes into it could be enrollment in an individual school. It could be that, this year we are running 4 kindergarten sections at an elementary school, and next year we only have the enrollment for 3 kindergarten sections at that school. And all the other enrollments remain the same, moving up across the grade levels, and somebody would need to be transferred. We also take a look at the staff and the allocation of staff and who is assigned where and the impact that they have the opportunity to make on the children that they interact with on a daily basis. Any staff member that's being transferred or being reassigned within the school district is somebody who has a demonstrated record of success, who has been successful with their students, who has demonstrated they can establish and maintain relationships with students, and who has positively impacted students and the school community in the work that they have done and what they have provided. Again, I can't go into individual details about individual teachers that have been identified, for this reassignment or for this transfer process during the course of this year. We go through that process. There's an agreed upon time with the association about what is referred to as an open teacher transfer period that occurs for 2 weeks each year. The teacher transfer period in Cherry Hill opened yesterday. What that looks like is the Director of Human Resources sends out an email to all of the staff announcing the teacher transfer period, letting everybody know what the opening date is, what the closing date, and lets people know what positions are available that people could request to transfer into based on having the appropriate certification. Folks are also encouraged that, if there is a position that's not listed on that, and it's something that if it did open, they would be interested in, they can fill in for that or fill in that in the teacher transfer period as well. That opens for 2 weeks. That'll close a week from Friday. And the reason that we have a very structured and very specific teacher transfer period is because we want to provide opportunity for staff members in our district who want to have the chance to work in a different building or work at a different level, have that chance first before we open up those open positions to people that are applying from the community or from the world at large. So we keep that in a succinct manner. And doing that, we try to give the announcement to staff members about their tentative assignments for the following academic year prior to the opening of the teacher transfer period. So that occurred the Wednesday before spring break. It occurs in a discussion at the secondary level. It involved individual meetings with those staff members. The hard part with that is there's really not a way to announce publicly that this is going to happen and this is who it's going to impact. Again, announcements about teacher transfer come out each year. This year, certainly there are more people that are being transferred or reassigned at the secondary level than there have been in the last few years. There's no question about that. As a community, we've spent a lot of time talking about change, talking about movement within our school district to try to best meet the needs of the children that are arriving in our classrooms on a daily basis. That's something that we take very seriously. And we take a look at, again, each one of the teachers and where can his or her talents make the most impact and make a continued impact. That's not to take away from the incredible successes that they've had or what they've demonstrated, but in an effort to improve situations for all students and at all schools. All 6 of the secondary schools and secondary programs are impacted by the moves in and out. And we believe that ultimately there will be a benefit in doing that. And when you look at the numbers, in the number of staff members who are being moved and the number of staff members that are in the buildings, we have, as Mrs. Sugars talked about in the budget, the single greatest resource that we invest money in on a daily basis are the staff members that we have. Single greatest resource in a school district are the staff members. And that is without question. You've heard me say that throughout the pandemic, before the pandemic. It's why we do what we do, because of the teachers and the counselors and the ed assistants and the secretaries and all those people that interact with our students on a daily basis. And if we believe that we can positively impact an individual school and impact students' lives, then that's what we want to do. And sometimes that's hard. Again, as a community, we've asked the community as a whole to take a look at what does it mean in terms of reorganizing some of the things that we do to better impact and to provide better opportunity for those who are in our classrooms. So to all who sent emails, we appreciate you sending the emails. I appreciate you sending information and sharing your perspective. We've heard great information from alumni, who have talked about the experiences that they've had, what individual teachers have meant to them. I'm sure that, if we each board meeting listed 4 or 5 staff members and asked alumni to reach out to us about the experience that they've had, we could get whole groups of people that would write about, each of the individual teachers that we have at the high school level, at the middle school level, at the elementary level, right? Our students, our current students and our alums can refer back to those people that have impacted them in a positive way, and what they have carried with them as they've gone on into college or work or life or into a profession. We certainly expect that will continue. We do look at it as a whole picture. We do look at it as a large picture. And again, it's challenging. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I'm grateful to the staff members and the professionalism that folks have continued to demonstrate and what they do and what they bring. That's who they are, and that's part of the reason that we are so successful in what we do, is because they continue to do that. Movement of staff has again occurs. Transfer reassignment occurs each year. It occurs with educational assistants. It occurs with secretaries. It occurs with custodians and maintenance workers. It occurs with administrators, with principals and assistant principals and supervisors. Year in and year out, folks are moved or reassigned into new positions because we believe that their talents, their abilities, what they bring to the organization can best be utilized and impact the most children in a positive manner in those positions. So I know that's frustrating for many. The board is not able to respond. The board is aware the transfers, are being discussed and where they are. This is not something that's originated with the board. This is absolutely originated within, with staff within the district. So the discussions continue. It's where we already provide those announcements. Teacher transfer period is open. People can certainly continue to send their perspective and share, what it is that they think about that. We are grateful to that. Again, that always is valuable. We believe in the staff members. We believe in the culture within our schools. We believe in the continuing opportunity and ability to rise up and improve upon what we're doing. So that's where we are at teacher transfer. So I do appreciate those folks that are here and that are looking forward to speaking during the second public comment. Just a couple of other very brief things because of where we are tonight on April the 26th. 8 weeks for tonight, we'll be observing graduation eve as we get ready for the high school graduations. 8 weeks from tonight, the middle school graduations will have been completed. The 5th grade moving up ceremonies will have been completed. We will all be looking at the final day of the academic year for the 2021-2022 academic year. It's been a very intense and a very busy year. And the next 8 weeks will just continue to pick up speed and continue to pick up pace. I encourage everyone to take note of what our student reps talked about in terms of the activities that are going on, what some of the board members in their report out about correspondence. Look at the websites, follow the information that Mrs. Wilson pushes out, follow the information that comes out from the schools. Please attend the concerts, please attend the shows, please attend the athletic events. Mr. Ovadia mentioned May 7th. There's a day worth of athletic competitions between High School East and High School West. It'll take place over on the property of High School East. We encourage people to come out during the course of that day and to be a part of it, and to see what's going on, but be a part of what's taking place. This week, we celebrate After School Support Professionals Week. And for us in Cherry Hill, that's the SAC staff. Those staff members who work in the morning before school and in the afternoon after school, providing childcare for those families who need it. So we're incredibly thankful to those staff members. Again, often the first people, other than the custodians, that are arriving at the building in the morning, and often the last people who are leaving, other than the custodians, in the evening. So if you're involved in the SAC program, please make sure you thank your staff members for the work that they do. Tomorrow is also Administrative Professionals Day. We celebrate that tomorrow on Wednesday, not just in all of our schools, but I know that those of you that are working in other professions and out in the world are observing Administrative Professionals Day. So thank you to everyone who serves in and who fills that role. I do want to echo what Ariana said, and wishing good luck and good rest and sleep ahead of time to the students that are getting ready to take the AP exams, as well as to the students that are getting ready to take the NJSLA assessments that come from the state. And finally, a little round of applause for Miss Mallory, who is celebrating her 1-year anniversary in Cherry Hill. Thank you, Mr. Avadi.
Thank you. That moves us to our action agenda. And Mrs. Arroyo, can you move C&I, please?
Yes, the superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 13.1, approval of out-of-district student placement for 2021-2022 school year. And 13.2, action consent to approve curriculum and instruction. 13.1. May I have a second? Tim? Any questions? No. Ms. Sugars?
Okay, board members, I have opened up the online voting. You can cast your votes.
Need to abstain from March 8th executive session minutes.
That's in the next section. I can. Okay, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Wonderful. Ms. Stern, can you move B and F, please?
The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. Approval of 14.1, approval of minutes of board work session, special action meeting minutes, and executive session minutes dated March 8th, 2022. 14.2, approval of minutes, special action meeting dated, action meeting minutes dated March 15th, 2022. 14.3, approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes, and executive session minutes dated March 22nd, 2022. Adoption of 14.4, adoption of 2022-2023 budget. 14.5, maximum travel expenditure. 14.6, motion to approve use of capital reserves to fund approved projects for the 2022-2023 school year. 14.7, financial reports. 14.8, resolution for the award of transportation. 14.9, resolution for the award of contract renewals. 14.10, approval of donations. 14.11, action consent to approve business and facilities items 14.1 to 14.10. Do I have a second? Dr. Rude?
Okay, board members, I have opened up the online voting. You can cast your vote. If there's any abstentions, please indicate that now.
And are there any questions before?
No
we move to
abstentions.
vote? Okay.
Measures, I have to abstain from 14. Oh, wait, where am I? Hold on. This thing cleared it out. 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3. I was out.
Any board member questions or abstentions? I have to abstain from 14.1 minutes.
Other than the abstentions noted, we have a unanimous yes vote.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Sugars. You got a budget.
Thank you.
Well done. Next, I'll turn to Mrs. Elmore Stratton. Could you move HR, please?
Sure. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 15.1, termination of employment certificated; 15.2, termination of employment non-certificated; 15.3, appointments certificated; 15.4, appointments non; 15.5, leaves as absence certificated. I'm sorry, I have new braces, so don't judge me after this. So feel like, why can't she talk? 15.6, leave of absence; 15.7, other compensation; 15.8, approval of new job description; 15.9, approval of revised job description; 15.10, other motions; and 15.11, consent to approve human resource negotiations, items 15.1, 15.9. Do I have a second? Mrs. Tong, any questions? Thank you, Mrs. Sugars.
I have opened up the online voting. You may cast your votes. If there's any abstentions, please let me know now. We have a unanimous yes vote.
Thanks. Ms. Friedel, can you move the P&L agenda, please?
The superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 16.1, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying investigation decisions; 16.2, second reading of policies. Do I have a second? Mrs. Arroyo, are there any comments or questions? Dr. Malash?
Thank you, Mrs. Friedel. There was a question that came up in the public comments about policy 8465, bias crimes and bias-related acts, about the changing in the language. We're aligning the language with the New Jersey regulations from hate crime to bias crime. There was a change both in the code as well as in the law enforcement memorandum of agreement, the Unified State Memorandum of Agreement between education and law enforcement, where the language changed. So our policy must match that policy that's being used at the state level. This came out from the Attorney General. So that's why that language is being changed.
Thank you for that clarification. I actually also have a comment on that policy that, and I think it's just more of a clarification. It refers to notifying the local police department. I think that we need to be clear, is that the Cherry Hill Police Department or the Cherry Hill School District Police Department? When we refer to local police department, who is that we are in fact referring to?
May I comment on that?
Yes.
So for this instance, because we have it, because the language states that, you should keep both on there because of situational matters. And so without restricting it to.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars?
I have opened up the online voting. Board members, you may cast your votes. If you have any abstentions, please indicate that now.
Ms. Sugars?
Yes.
I need to abstain from 16.1, please.
Okay, other than the exceptions noted, we have a unanimous yes vote.
All right, for strategic planning, there are no items for action this evening. But Mrs. Tong, your day will come, and that day will come next month. So Is there any new business to discuss this evening, board members? Okay, seeing none, is there any old business anyone would like to bring forward this evening? Okay, that moves us to the second public comment. It's the third public comment, but second public comment. You may comment here, student or not, on any topic. If you would like to speak now, please clearly state your name and municipality. Full names, please. We will alternate between speakers here in the room and those that are online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Cherry Hill is a community that values education, and educational topics often bring out a passionate response. The Cherry Hill Board of Education supports a school climate in which our diversity is a source of strength and all are included. Respect is foundational in how we treat you, how we treat each other, and how we support our administration and staff in their essential work. Please join us in practicing the utmost of respect. And I will start in the room. The floor is yours.
My name is Shelley Adler from Cherry Hill. I'm here today to address the issue of the involuntary teacher reassignments at Cherry Hill East. To give some color to the situation, I'm just going to speak mostly about one teacher, Tom Rosenberg, but much of what I have to say has universal application to other teachers being transferred. Although I do not now have any children in the Cherry Hill schools, my 4 sons were educated in Cherry Hill and all attended Cherry Hill East. Each of my sons had Mr. Rosenberg as their AP US History 2 teacher. Their experience with him was entirely positive. He took a difficult subject, which culminated in the US History AP exam in May, and made it accessible and enjoyable for his students. Those of you who have boys know that they are not very forthcoming each day about what happened at school. I found that not to be the case when they were in Mr. Rosenberg's class. They often spoke at dinner of the various projects they were involved in, including debates, presentations, games, and other interactive learning experiences. Mr. Rosenberg got each of them excited and very much engaged in studying advanced US history. The importance of having a good AP teacher in a subject matter cannot be discounted. This is particularly critical where those students who traditionally do not take AP classes are brought into the program. Although teacher proficiency is not the only indicator of success on an AP exam, it is certainly very much a factor. Therefore, it does not seem to make much sense to take a very experienced AP teacher such as Mr. Rosenberg and move him into a middle school setting. Mr. Rosenberg was also involved in other ways in addition to his teaching responsibilities. He wrote college recommendations for each of my boys, which I believe made an impact on admissions decisions. He was also a student government advisor and even a JV lacrosse coach. All of these contributions are not a surprise given that his late mother, Karen Rosenberg, was a Cherry Hill Board of Ed member, and he is the trustee of the Karen Rosenberg Sunshine Fund, which benefits underprivileged school children throughout New Jersey, including many in Cherry Hill. In my job, I manage many people. To me, it is somewhat counterintuitive to respond to good performance by moving an employee to an entirely different work environment, away from longtime colleagues and friends, and away from the work that they love doing in which they have succeeded. I am not in any way disparaging schools to which these teachers are being moved. I am simply commenting on the involuntary nature of the move itself. I believe it is somewhat disrespectful to loyal and successful teachers who have literally left everything on the field in their professional capacity. It also strikes me as a huge disincentive to become a top performer who goes all out for the school community. And my remarks are applicable to many of the teachers that are being moved, including many that are in this room tonight, who I have very strong feelings about as well. These teachers, who are all very senior in their service at East, deserve a workplace that recognizes their contributions and does not act contrary to their strengths as teachers and their expectations as high-performing employees. My children enjoyed an education of the highest quality in this district. I would like that to continue for students who are still in the system and who are to come. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to the line. Let me put it this way. I still want to extend a preference to students who I know have to get some rest, but I can really only do that at this point, a level of complexity, limited as I am. If you put that you're a student online or sort of indicate to me in the room, just kind of give me a look. But I do want to return to Annie Dollarton on the line next, who's been very patient. We appreciate that. And the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Annie Dollarton. I'm a 2021 East graduate, and I'm also the daughter of one of the 9 East teachers that are being transferred. I'm speaking on behalf of all 9 teachers, but in this case, I'll be specifically speaking for my mom, Susan Nicolazzo Dollarton. The way I found out about my mom being transferred was a phone call since I'm away at college. I got a call on April 13th from my mom, and she was in tears. She could barely get it out that she had been forced transferred after 20 plus straight years at Cherry Hill East. From what I've heard from friends and fellow students was that Miss Nick was more than a teacher to them. She was a mentor, a friend, and some even considered her a mother figure. This is clearly shown in the change.org petition comments made by people in the community, along with other petitions made for other teachers. After 20 plus years of teaching, attending almost every single activity, being an assistant sport coach, being a teacher class representative for most recently the class of 2020, and supporting past, present, and even future students, this decision is far past unfair, and the superintendent's kind words about their qualifications notwithstanding do not seem well planned out or thought out. Cherry Hill East needs these 9 teachers there. As an East graduate, I and over 1,300 others ask that you, the Board of Education, reconsider this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll return in the room. Yes, floor is yours when you come up to the mic.
My name's Elizabeth Bristow. I live in Cherry Hill. I really don't do public speaking, but I'm very concerned about the large number of teachers being transferred in both the middle school and high school levels. I understand that occasionally moves need to be made due to changes in census. I strongly support teachers being able to transfer to open positions when they feel they need a change. But that is not the case in the transfers I've heard about. It is also not due to census because the transfers go both ways. I have read an official response and heard it to the concerns raised, and it doesn't ring true. If this is the latest trend in staffing, I can tell you from personal experience that the disruptions brought on by forced transfers decrease employee morale and efficiency. I work for a company that occasionally transfers employees between facilities against their wishes. This company moves the person with the least seniority for census or budget reasons. I can assure you it kills the morale of not just the employee being moved, but their coworkers and the employees in unaffected facilities wondering if they're next. I'm a per diem employee, so I go to all the facilities and I see firsthand the effect these changes have on all the employees. These disruptions negatively impact the quality of care. People choose where they work based on many personal factors. Changing times and locations can have a significant impact on our overscheduled lives. Our teachers are our greatest asset and should be treated as such, not like factory robots to be moved from one assembly line to another. Many of the teachers being transferred have built a niche specialty which will not be applicable to a very different grade level. It is ineffective and inefficient for all these teachers to now learn a new curriculum. Several of these experienced teachers being transferred are also people who speak up about things they believe in. The most disturbing part of this mass transfer is the appearance of silencing these teachers and any other teacher who might speak up for fear of being the next one transferred. Our teachers understand the needs of our students and the classroom dynamics the best. I want our teachers to be able to speak up for what they believe in without fear of retaliation. As a parent of 3 children, I have had a child in the Cherry Hill public school system for the past 18 years. I have seen so many teachers go the extra mile for our children. We need to support the teachers so that they can continue to excel instead of creating unnecessary obstacles. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We're going to go to the line with Aiden Rude.
Hi, thank you. Again, Aiden Rude, Cherry Hill East. I'll be very brief. I wouldn't typically want to speak twice at a meeting, but I just wanted to use the opportunity of the second comment to offer a brief addition to what I said before, now having the perspective of hearing some of the response from the district, from Dr. Malash. I'm talking to lots of students, even from home here. Many people are watching this meeting. Many people are kind of discussing it in real time. And I feel that the kind of response from the district and what we heard from Dr. Moss tonight, again, not in my personal opinion, but really just hearing from many different students across the district, is not being received as something that sort of explains this enough or is going to cause people to lay the issue to rest. There are talks of a student walkout. There's media coverage coming in. There's a lot of unrest in the community about this issue. And certainly I think that should the fact be true that this is all in the best interest of the community, the district should want to communicate that and help settle this discomfort among students, staff, parents, everyone involved. So again, I just urge you to find some way to communicate about this issue. One thought that I've heard and had myself is that maybe if the district cannot speak about these teacher situations, it can at least allow the teachers themselves to speak publicly without fear of any repercussions or insubordination about the transfers. They should be allowed to speak about their own situations. And I've heard some concerns that they wouldn't be allowed to do so, or even if they would be, they fear that that wouldn't be the case. So again, please try to find additional ways to communicate with the community about this issue beyond the idea that we can't give details or that this is normal, because a lot of people still are feeling like it's not. And until there's more of a response, I think a lot of people are going to continue to be upset. So I hope we can find a way forward with that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll return in the room and the floor is yours.
Hi, Andrea Weigel, Cherry Hill. I want to talk about the 2020 health education guidelines that are being implemented in September. I understand you don't have to implement any or all of them from what I've been reading. And I want you to let them know the Department of Education, they don't belong in school. Second grade, define reproduction. Discuss the range of ways people express their gender and how gender role stereotypes may limit behavior. By the end of fifth grade, talk about romantic and sexual feelings, masturbation, mood swings, timing of pubertal onset. Identifying trusted adults that you can talk to, including your family members, but school staff and healthcare professionals, that belongs in the house, not in the school. Explain the relationship between sexual intercourse and human reproduction. This is all by the end of fifth grade. Differentiate between sexual orientation and gender identity. Does not belong in fifth grade, really doesn't belong in school. It belongs in the house. By the end of eighth grade, describe pregnancy testing, the signs of pregnancy, pregnancy options, including parenting, abortion, and adoption. This is in eighth grade. This disgusts me. Eighth grade, define vaginal, oral, and anal sex. You're talking about 12 and 13-year-olds. Does not belong in schools. Obtaining PrEP and PEP testing. This is eighth grade. It's gross. I could go on, 12th grade. I got 2 pages of changes for 12th grade. It doesn't belong in school. Push back on the Department of Education. Call them, tell them it does not belong in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll return, I'm sorry, we'll go back to the line with Jim Neary.
Hi, Jim Neary, Cherry Hill. I just wanted to speak. We've been hearing a lot of teachers being commented about the forced transfers this evening. I just wanted to express a teacher whose name I have not heard come up, Josh Hare over at Carusi Middle School. He has been a shining light at Carusi Middle School. He was an amazing coach to my son who has special needs, really brought him out of his shell during his 7th grade year prior to the pandemic. With all the issues at Carusi, the bullying, the turning a blind eye, he is one of the few teachers that I've seen standing up for students who are being overlooked or marginalized. And I really feel that if Dr. Malash's kind words that he's looking to better for the students, moving Josh Hare away from Carusi is an incredible disservice to the Carusi community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Short?
Rick Short, 1002 Chelton Parkway. First off, there were some amazing kids that spoke tonight. Truly amazing. Better than me at speaking. Truly amazing. And I hope the board listens. I hope the board listens, especially when your students are talking and you talk about student voice all the time. On to Cherry Hill teachers. I've never publicly said any bad thing about a teacher. Our teachers in Cherry Hill are like football stars, like football quarterback stars. Over at Kingston, there's a various numbers of different last names. They live around, they're legends. They stay there for a long time. This side foot shuttle stuff of over 16 staff doesn't need to happen. What happens every so often in school board meetings is there are transfers and there's a vote that occurs. So I request Ms. Stern, I request Mr. Ovadia to not allow the transfer to happen. If you can't listen to the students coming up here, and if you can't hear the parents, and you don't think that education is the most important thing, and that this is the best thing for the district, it's not. It's tearing apart the district, and I'll be frank and honest about it. And then finally, we go back to the 19 bridges in Cherry Hill. So would the township risk 3 bridge failures, which is the same thing you're doing with HVAC in schools? With the $7 million, you could possibly do 3 to 4 schools with new HVAC. And then if the bond fails, at least you have something left over. So the following year that you could do another 2 schools with HVAC. Your current plan of taking $7 million of ESSER funds and capital reserves is not a good idea. And I'll just keep saying it over and over again. And I hope the board of 9 stands up and listens, because that's your job. Just because the district says something doesn't mean we want to go that direction. And it's your job as school board members to direct the superintendent. And in this case, it's tearing apart our community, I think. It's really sad to watch. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the line for Margaret Gammy.
Hi, my name is Margaret Gammy. I'm a graduate of Cherry Hill East from 2010. I live in Cherry Hill and currently work as a history teacher in Haddonfield. The supportive and inspiring teachers at Cherry Hill East are the reason I'm calling in tonight. I'm concerned about the decision to move Mr. Rosenberg from his position as an AP US history teacher to one of the middle schools. Mr. Rosenberg's lessons helped to inspire me to pursue history education. I remember a Treaty of Versailles simulation and an atomic bomb debate that were exciting and helpful in building critical research and persuasive skills. His lessons actually left such an impression on me that I talked about them in an interview for my current teaching job. He was also especially invested in our AP performance, and he, along with other teachers, would hold extra review sessions for hours after school. I could echo similar sentiments for the other outstanding, talented teachers that are being transferred. Mr. Rosenberg is uniquely suited as an AP US history teacher. His engaging lessons, rigor, ability to build critical thinking skills, content expertise, and years of experience make him an invaluable resource for this college-level course. Mr. Rosenberg was the AP teacher that I needed as a junior to nurture my passion for the humanities, challenge me intellectually, and prepare me for college and my career. As a result, I disagree with this decision to remove him the place where he has made such a positive impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, yeah, we're gonna, yeah, because there's homework tonight. We
Yeah.
appreciate you sticking around, and the floor is yours.
Kieran Corson, Cherry Hill, senior at West. On the West transference matter, I said everything I had in the first comment. What I actually didn't realize is that Mr. Hare is up for transference as well. I'm a graduate from Carusi. I had Mr. Hare in 6th grade, and then for the following years as a cross-country coach. And Mr. Hare, as a history teacher, he sparked my interest in history. And I'm not a history kid by any means. Computer science, math, all that. I didn't really have any interest in history before 6th grade history. And then I had Mr. Hare, and he sparked something special for history with me. And so I actually started going to history lectures at the local library. I actually started paying attention in following year's history classes, which probably wouldn't have done if I hadn't had that amazing spark to just set that interest in it for me. Additionally, as a coach, he pushed me beyond what I really thought I could do. I've always been an average runner, still am, but it still gave me that extra drive, gave me something I wanted to achieve, and really just a special teacher for me. So I, as with the West teachers, don't think he should be transferred either. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to the line for Anne.
Hi, my name is Fang Liu. I'm a parent of 2 children in Cherry Hill East. I'm very happy to hear that Dr. Malosh emphasized student learning, student experience are very importantly considered in making the teacher transfer decision. So I would like to have a few questions answered. The first one is, could you please shed some light on how the benefit to students were measured and reported during this decision-making process? How about the negative effects? Are they being documented and addressed? The second question is, how will you listen and act upon the overwhelming negative responses to the personal decision concerning the teacher transfers? Student voice is very important. I'm very proud of the students who have been presenting the ideas tonight. They are well spoken. I'm so proud of them. The third question is, Dr. Malosh mentioned that teachers and staffs are the single most important resources. During this process, were you and your colleagues able to consider the teacher's interest, teachers' perspectives, and preferences in how and where they would like to grow their professional experience and their abilities? So since they are single most important resources, shouldn't their interest, perspectives, and preferences be considered? Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll return in the room. You don't have to, but if you would like to come up to the microphone while we have the person on the line talking, we're welcome to. But anyway, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Chris Betson-Smith, a Cherry Hill resident with 2 students in Cherry Hill school system. The students spoke they are so eloquently articulated every concern I have regarding the transfers of students from, the teachers from Cherry Hill East. A point that I'd like to stress is that these are fabulous, talented teachers. That's not in dispute. However, they go above and beyond. Their dedication and their involvement with the students, their colleagues, the community, and the parents are truly unparalleled. I've never experienced the joy of seeing how these teachers interact with all of us in such a positive manner. And it's never been more important than over the last 2 years when we've gone through such a horrible time. Now, finally, hopefully, we are coming into what approaches normal once again. This is the absolute worst time to deprive our children of teachers who have proven tirelessly again and again that they care so deeply and that they have had such positive impact on the lives of the students and of course their parents, because if our kids aren't well, we aren't well. I beg you, don't do this now. I can't go into the decision-making that you have to go through, and I have sympathy. Sometimes we all have to make very difficult decisions, but not now, not when they're just going back to normal. My youngest had her junior prom and she was overjoyed. I haven't seen that look in her eye in 2 years. These teachers show up for everything, and it's not forgotten. Please do the right thing. Don't make these transfers. Listen to the thousands of students and parents throughout Cherry Hill who are signing petitions. It's a beautiful and amazing way to support fabulous teachers. Please, let's keep the heart in Cherry Hill East. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. On the line, we have Dave Kay, who has the floor next.
Hello, Dave Kuzmanich, Woodcrest. Hope you guys can hear me. I'm going to read about our transgender policy. New Jersey law against discrimination generally makes it unlawful for schools to subject individuals to differential treatment based on race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, marital status, domestic partnership or civil union status, sex, affectional or sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, disability or nationality. Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 specifically prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in federally funded education programs and activities. I want to read you a definition for sexual orientation that is based on this New Jersey policy. Sexual orientation describes a person's enduring physical, romantic, and or emotional attraction to another person. Gender identity and sexual orientation are not the same. I'm going to repeat that. Gender identity and sexual orientation are not the same. A transgender person may be straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, or asexual. For example, a person who transitions from male to female and is attracted solely to women may identify as a lesbian, but still have man parts. Student-centered approach, Section 2. A school district shall accept a student's asserted gender identity, parental consent not required. I'll repeat that again. Parents don't need to be involved according to the state and the schools. Further, a student need not meet any threshold diagnosis or treatment requirements to have his or her gender identity recognized and respected by the district, school, or school personnel, nor is a legal or court-ordered name change required. There is no affirmative duty for any school district personnel to notify the student's parents or guardians of the student's gender identity or expression. Again, taking the parents out of the equation. School use facilities. All students are entitled to access to restrooms, locker rooms, changing facilities in accordance with their gender identity to allow for involvement in various school programs and activities. In all cases, school principal must work with the students and staff so all parties are aware of facility policies and understand that the student may have access to restrooms, locker rooms, and changing facilities. Again, someone transferring into a female locker room, still having male parts, still liking females. We're going to have an issue. I can't wait for the first lawsuit. Have a nice night.
Thank you. We'll return in the room. Floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer Dolan. I have been a teacher at East in the Social Studies Department for 21 years. I'm here tonight to ask that the members of our Board of Education examine these teacher transfers and determine if these transfers are in the best interest of the students at the affected schools. Moving teachers who have devoted many years to a school is not just impacting the classes that those individuals teach. At East, for example, we are losing specific expertise in particular programs, such as several of our AP level subjects, our cadaver lab, our mock trial team. Please keep in mind the years of experience and collaboration that make these programs successful. We are also seeing the movement of coaches, advisors, and even our mascot. These are vacancies that cannot be filled with a simple exchange of people between two buildings. These positions allow connections between teachers and students in deep and meaningful ways. We've all been able to connect with students in our classes from year to year, but those of us who act in other capacities as advisors and as coaches also know that that gives us the opportunity to make these deeper connections. And in middle school, that might mean 3 years with a group of students. In high school, it might mean 4 years. And that really enriches a child's experience in school much beyond the classroom. We are all well aware that the district administration can and does have to at times make transfers. We are fully aware of the contractual obligations there, but I and many of my colleagues would ask that you, our board members, ask these questions and determine if you feel satisfied that the reasons provided are satisfactory, and if you feel that the costs to our schools are outweighed by the benefits shared with you. We are also aware that personnel discussions cannot happen publicly. That's something that we are all cognizant of, but again, this is something that can be discussed by the board members, and we would hope that you can ascertain the reasons and be satisfied before you approve any changes. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to online, we have Alexis Mitchell, who is next.
Hi, my name is Alexis Mitchell, Cherry Hill. And I am calling in today because one thing I would like to reiterate is the fact that once again, the public comments are all the way at the bottom of the agenda. Pushing 9:30, and I don't understand why we can't be at the top for open comments. Anyway, I have a question that I generally just don't know the answer to. I know that children that do not attend Cherry Hill schools but are in Cherry Hill because they go to maybe a private school or what have you, they get reimbursement checks because they don't utilize buses. I believe that's correct. What if you are a walker? Is that in the budget at all? If you're a walker, you don't utilize the buses either. So I want to know what the difference is with that. My second comment is I'm curious if parents will be involved with the revision of the Amaze curriculum that Murphy passed. I know that the last meeting, Dr. Meloche said that, you know, teachers, nurses, and board members would be a part of that, but wouldn't it be kind of productive to get some parent input? I mean, the last meeting you guys had the Hanover study, which I really did like. It was really, really great. And it showed that the demographics of the Brown community in this district, they lack in some areas, especially when it comes to the education piece, just not getting it. And I really feel like that's where we need to be really focusing on. Instead, I'm trying to shield my child from gender identity at 6 years old. I think it's utterly ridiculous. He's 6. He would like to be a dinosaur. So should I start roaring at him? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. I opted him out of the family life curriculum that I did go over, and I just didn't think it was appropriate for his age. And I know that it was mentioned that you could possibly opt out of Amaze as well, depending on whatever you want to do. And I'm just curious as to what is replaced with. Like, is he just thrown in a room somewhere because he's one of the few that wanted to opt out? So what exactly would that be replaced with? And I guess that I have a notion. I know that we keep talking this opt out. Well, what if parents just opt in instead? A lot of parents are just either too busy, too tired. They don't understand the mail. They don't even get their mail. By the time they get their mail, it's way too late. The class didn't already took part and my child didn't already been indoctrinated some way or another. So why can't we opt in to it instead of opting out? Earlier, someone said a survey went out and
Thank you, Alexis. We appreciate your public comment this evening. I encourage you to follow up with an email, probably to your child's principal. But Dr. Meloche can direct you as well if you'd like to reach out to him. Thank you. We're going to go back to the room and the floor is yours.
Good evening. I'm Kim Achille. I'm a teacher at Cherry Hill East. I apologize for my voice. It's a gift from my granddaughter last week. I came to speak to you tonight so you could see me, so you could look in my eyes and know that I'm a person and not just an employee. I've been a part of the East community for 20 years. As a district, you tout the importance of building connections with students and their parents and of working as a team with our colleagues. And yet you're tearing me away from all of those connections I've forged. And for what end? Like, for what purpose? I have built the AP biology program and the human anatomy program from the ground up, from one section to multiple sections for both of those courses. If you say this transfer is for me to bring those strengths to another school, well, that's one thing. However, I've been told I will not be part of those programs at West. I'm being moved and placed into courses for which I have no interest, no expertise, and no passion. In addition, you have all been contacted by Dr. Garcia and know the Honors Anatomy Cadaver Lab program at East is now in jeopardy. As I see it, everyone loses. For what end and for what purpose? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll return to the line with Alana Yaris. The floor is yours.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I'm just calling in because earlier this year on social media, there were questions as to why school was closed on February 1st. And I, as an active participant at board meetings and watching videos on a regular basis, know that on February 1st, we were closed, even though it says on the school district calendar, full day teacher in service, because it was Lunar New Year and a policy had passed that for Diwali and Lunar New Year, there would be teacher in service days or schools would be closed. I know the schools are closed for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I know that there are a couple of other days throughout the year. However, the district calendars just say schools closed and don't give any further information, which allows parents to question why the schools are being closed and not educating our students or scrambling for last minute childcare. And I would just put in a request that for future district calendar years, if there could be a reason stated possibly as to why the schools are closed. I know that when there is winter recess, it says, for Martin Luther King Day, it says, for Memorial Day, for teacher in service days. But any holidays that anyone in the district celebrates that the schools are closed for, it's not on the district calendar. And I'm just hoping that maybe to educate more adults in the community, that could be added if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go in the room and the floor is yours.
Jay DeFuria, Charles Lane, Cherry Hill. As a taxpayer, I can admit that Cherry Hill has amazing schools, but we need to remember that schools are more than the actual building. There are two words that describe this: human capital. Schools are filled with teachers who care about their students, their content, and their community. Teachers spend so much time cultivating relationships, not just in one school year, but over a series of years or even decades. Swapping teachers minimizes the importance of these relationships. We all know that many of our facilities need to be updated. Walls can be fixed and new classrooms can be created. But what happens if we lose those world-class teachers because they aren't in a place they can be effectively utilized? What if they take jobs elsewhere because they were moved somewhere and do not want to go? Is it worth having updated facilities if they are not staffed by these world-class teachers? One of the major aspects of why our schools are so successful is because of our human capital. It's one of the reasons why my partner and I chose Cherry Hill to live. It is something that should be cherished, something to be appreciated, and something that should be maintained. Remember, human capital, our biggest strength. The solution I see here is to reverse these involuntary reassignments and allow any teachers to request transfers if they so desire. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. On the line, Emily Pober, you are next.
Hi, I'm Emily Pober. I'm a junior at Cherry Hill East, and I don't think there's much more to add on to what a lot of my classmates have already said, but I just want to bring up how greatly this decision is going to impact students in the future, even more than it is real time as it is right now, and how despite the large amount of time that I've spent at East was spent online, I think I can speak for everyone when I say that it feels like a family. And it's solely because of the teachers and their enthusiasm, passion, and support that they provided when students, especially the last few years, had so little interaction with other students and relied on their teachers to build these important bonds every single day. And now, finally returning to school with a little sense of normalcy, us students are relying not only academically, but also socially and emotionally on these teachers. Relocating these teachers, those from all schools, is inevitably going to impact the sense of community and stability that students and teachers crave so much more now. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It just doesn't seem fair to make so many people feel hopeless and their voices to feel so minuscule. So I'm asking that you reconsider your decision and take into consideration the teachers which are being relocated and realize the impact that you'll have on us students who already have been through so much the past few years.
Thank you. Next in the room, the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Tom Howard. I teach history at Cherry Hill High School East. I have been teaching at East for 22 years. I come before you tonight to speak on behalf of my colleague and my friend, Tom Rosenberg. On Wednesday, April 13th, a number of teachers throughout the district were told they were being involuntarily transferred to new schools. One of those teachers, Tom Rosenberg, was informed that he was being moved from Cherry Hill High School East to Carusi Middle School. According to District Policy 3130, quote, "The Board of Education and the superintendent will strive to assign teaching staff members to positions in which their service will best benefit the educational program of the district. Transferring Tom Rosenberg from East to Carusi will not best advance the district's educational program. Mr. Rosenberg's experience and expertise best belong at the high school level. For 17 years, Tom Rosenberg has taught East's AP US History 2 course. For many of those years, he served as East's sole AP US 2 teacher. Over those years, he has become an expert in the advanced placement curriculum, even serving as an AP reader at the national level. As a result, his students have reaped the benefits of his hard work and dedication. They consistently score higher than the national average on the AP exam, and alumni frequently return to thank Mr. Rosenberg for helping them succeed in college and beyond. One student even recently referred to Mr. Rosenberg's course as, quote, "a rite of passage." Rather than keep Mr. Rosenberg where he has a proven track record of student success, Dr. Malash has decided to force a certified AP teacher with 17 years of experience teaching a college level course to start anew at the middle school level. This simply does not make sense. And it most certainly does not, quote, "best benefit the educational program of the district." I implore Dr. Malash to rescind this proposed transfer of Mr. Rosenberg and allow him to remain at East. If Dr. Malash insists on forcing Mr. Rosenberg to move, I urge the Board of Education to reject Dr. Malash's proposal. The board must do what is best for our students. And what is best for our students is to keep Tom Rosenberg at High School East. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to stay in the room and you are up.
I am Mike Abrascato, Cherry Hill. A lot of the students here, very moving what they said. Recent article on publicschoolreview.com showed 2 elementary schools in Cherry Hill, Sharp School being #1 in Cherry Hill, in the top 5, East in the top 30, West and Carusi bottom 50%. Today, Patch.com article ranked East 62nd out of 406 public New Jersey high schools, West 261st. I have a feeling that if you haven't learned what equity is, I think this is what is going on right now. They're taking teachers out of the better high schools and the better schools and putting them into the lower bottom 50% schools, unfortunately. I just want to ask the board, it's themselves, how many of them, if by a show of hands, if they can, are against racism? I would think that everyone would be. I'm not allowed to do that. Okay. All right, then I'll yield my time.
Thanks. Thank you for your comments. Okay, let's move to, we have on the line Laura Sontag. Laura, sorry, you've got to unmute, I think, for us to hear you. Okay, maybe a technical difficulty. Let's proceed in the room. You're up.
Good evening. My name is Megan Mikulski, and I have been teaching social studies at Cherry Hill East High School for the past 22 years. And as someone who has been in that building for that length of time, I hope to provide you a few examples of the impact that these unprecedented involuntary transfers of my work family members and beloved faculty members will have on the students of East. First, teachers who feel secure and supported at work are in the best mental position to positively impact students. When I first got hired back in 2000, I was warmly welcomed by both administration and staff members into what was clearly a family atmosphere. Specifically, teachers such as Susan Nicolazzo-Dollerton, affectionately known as Miss Nick, who is being involuntarily transferred next year, organized welcome parties and holiday get-togethers for the first several years that I was here. The support and admiration that exists between the faculty members at East inspires teachers to give their utmost energy to their students. East students benefit from this. Second, students benefit from East's academic rigor. I have been grateful to teach the Advanced Placement U.S. History 1 course for all of my time at East. I educate myself about relevant historical topics outside of my classroom, and I participate in College Board exam grading annually to enrich my students' experiences. So does Tom Rosenberg. Tom, also being involuntarily transferred to middle school this fall, has been teaching AP US 2 for the past 17 years, 10 of those as the sole teacher of the course. A student from the class of 2010 actually surprised all of us AP history teachers with these t-shirts before she graduated. This is an example of making student connections, and Mr. Rosenberg has been making these connections for all of these years. These connections have benefited East students, and with these benefits, East students have been able to achieve the kinds of scores on the AP exams that they worked so hard for. Their scores have exceeded the state and national scores by over 1 point for years. Of particular note, in 2016, when every student taking the AP exam achieved a passing score. This was the first and only time in the history of Cherry Hill when this happened. As of today, the remaining AP history teachers have been told that there is currently no clear plan as to who will take over the AP2 history classes for the roughly 140 10th graders who are signed up for next year. There is currently no one in our department who has any experience teaching this course who could fill this loss. sorry, this will not benefit East students. Cherry Hill High Schools pride themselves on providing a warm environment and academic rigor for their students. The argument is that moving around beloved teachers who have dedicated decades of their lives to certain school communities will benefit students at large. I believe this argument is flawed, and I ask you all to reconsider. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Laura Sontag. We are going to try again. Floor is yours.
Okay, Laura Sontag's here. Thank you for trying again. I'm technically challenged. I am from the class of 82, Cherry Hill East, my alma mater. I'm very proud that I went there. I am very proud of the teachers I remember that changed my life. And I'm calling to speak about Susan Dollarton, Miss Nick. She is the heart of your school. And the superintendent knows that, and so do the board members. You've seen it tonight. I was very taken by all the well-spoken students that turned out for their school, for their teachers. And I'm calling out the board members. As you sit there and you listen to them, it's your job, it's your responsibility to make your own decision, to not listen to whoever is providing these forced transfers for 9 teachers in the East Building. That is disruptive to the students' lives. After coming off a COVID season, you've heard all of them say that, and you now have to be okay with these changes. And each one of you should make sure that you are comfortable with it and you know the reasons behind, because what I'm hearing as a common thread is these are all the good teachers that are being moved to other schools. So you're taking your good teachers out of Cherry Hill East and harming your students there, instead of going out and hiring good teachers. Go do the hard work. Go hire the teachers that will come and do what these teachers have been doing for 25 years in the schools where they're currently teaching. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Doran, you are next.
Eileen Doran, Cherry Hill. I would first say that I agree with everything our eloquent students and passionate parents and teachers have said about the transfers so far, so I'm not going to repeat that. One thing I have found really missing in the discussion is about the development of the children, the developmental levels. Some teachers have been teaching a decade, 2 decades, children of a certain developmental level, and are being switched to, something that is 4, 5, 6 years and in grade levels and maybe more in age levels up or down. The teachers may be able to, with a lot of work, put together the curriculum and understand the curriculum for the other level. But the physical, emotional, and social needs of those different ages it's so different. And it's not something you can study to be able to connect and communicate and support children of this radically different level. It's not automatic. It's a skill that takes it takes skills and experience that take years and years to develop. And they have developed them. They've developed them for particular age groups, and then they're getting moved somewhere up or down where there may not be a good fit for those children. And so I think that there's a loss on both ends, both the children that are losing the teachers and sometimes the children that are getting them. Another thing that I'd like to speak about is we hear all the time about our teachers being the greatest resource. We're here to be kind. I did not see that happen with how this was handled. Let's walk that talk. Teachers deserve better than an email, especially when it's something big like this and life-changing for some of them. They deserve better than to be pulled in as a group and they deserve somebody sit down with them, talk to them, explain what they do well, what we value about them, how we think they're going to be able to make an impact in the other school. If we want well-rounded students, we got to consider the clubs and activities that they're running. If they're valuable, we need to set up a plan for how to keep those going. I've heard it's not in their contract, but do we have to put being kind and respectful to our teachers in their contracts? And our teachers don't do just what's in their contract. When our teachers do just what's in their contract, that's considered a job action. And that's considered an aggressive move. They do way more than their contract. So we can give them a little more in terms of kindness and respect. I urge you, Dr. Malash, and the administrators serving under you to do better with any future transfers. Act in kindness and with respect to the teachers. I urge the board in any way you can in your role to hold the administration accountable to doing that and acting in that way. We can do better. And as you have seen, and Dr. Malash always says, our children are watching. And I'm so saddened by what they saw in the way that their teachers were treated. I know we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to return to the line with Richard Dodd is next.
Thank you. My comment is about the new law that's going into effect for Amaze. I would like to request or recommend that district send out options for the parents that that want to, go to all the parents, but specifically it's to help parents that want to opt out of that curriculum, what steps they need to do, and and if there's an issue with opting out, how many days is this curriculum going to be implemented, so parents can prepare accordingly. So I just want more transparency on that to help parents that don't feel it's appropriate for that subject to be taught in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the room. You're next.
Janice McCann, Cherry Hill East parent. I think we know that everyone here is an amazing teacher, regardless of where you teach. The one thing I wanted to add to this conversation is that we're taking away safe spaces for our children. These teachers, Susan, Mike, many teachers from West I didn't even know, but I heard about tonight. They're the teachers where kids go to eat lunch. They're the coaches that people go to talk to. We're in the business of children, and we can't forget that. Kids can be vulnerable and fragile, and they need safe spaces. And that's the common theme that I heard tonight with every speech from the children, from the parents, from the teachers themselves. That's all any of us want for our kids, for them to be safe at school and happy. And that's what I think we really need to consider with some of these moves. They're the people that are there every day, giving 150% to create safety in a world where we don't always feel safe. So please reconsider some of these choices. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mrs. Nadia.
Oh,
you are up.
Wow, that was fast. Okay. Hi, Jen Nadio, 224 North Madison, Cherry Hill. Got some questions that have been coming up swirling around. Why is CPEACE being dismantled when it's a board-driven goal and moving to executive committee with no news of parent and community involvement? That's question one. Two, what are we as a district doing about the AAPI classes required by the state? Are we adding it to the African American classes? Three, I'm on the committee for time changes, and we recommended 45 minutes for transportation. But Dr. Malash was quoted by Melanie Burney in the Inquirer on April 7th that we only needed 30 minutes. We need to change this and give us 45 minutes based on the documentation that was part of our committee. And the last question, what families are being interviewed for special education by the board-driven discussions? I know you're going to different homes, having Zoom calls, et cetera, because many of the families who are fighting for services are not being contacted. So Have a good evening. Those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. We can stay in the room, and you are next.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Jesse Lyman. I'm a Cherry Hill East graduate of 2009. I'm here tonight to discuss the teacher transfer. It seems like a hot topic here and being discussed quite frequently. Individually, I was fortunate to have built relationships or have had many of the teachers that are being transferred this year or for next year. One teacher I want to speak about in particular is Mr. Tom Rosenberg. Tom Rosenberg, I was actually his first class. I was there not only for his first history class, but I was also in his homeroom. So him and I have spent a lot of time together. With that, Mr. Rosenberg, his mentorship, his leadership, his patience have greatly impacted me and helped me become the person I am today. I know as a ninth grader, I was not easy to deal with and easy to quit on, but he didn't. Neither did a lot of these teachers that are here tonight and who this is affecting. With that, I went from being a freshman with no interest in history at all to having two AP classes, two history AP classes my senior and junior year. Not only that, but I went on to graduate from college with a degree in social studies, specializing in secondary education. And I can confidently say that that would not have been the case if it wasn't for Mr. Rosenberg. So as many students and alumni who have spoke before me, these teachers are impactful and they're important to this community. I'm left with many questions about this decision, specifically referring to Dr. Malosh's comment about moving successfully or proven teachers that have been successful in the classroom. It leads me to ask, is this actually, again, in the best interest of the students? From what I've heard tonight, it does not sound that to be the case. And speaking from my personal experience, I can't quite understand that. Additionally, how does forced transfers motivate teachers to invest in their students and become an asset at their school? Again, I was somebody that was a subject of that. Them going the extra mile and taking the extra interest in me that led me to actually wanting to become a teacher in the first place. And last but not least, with these moves, these liabilities, what does the district have in plan to replace these teachers and to allow students like myself to have the same benefits? So with that all being said, I would like the board to reevaluate the decision about the transfers and hopefully make a decision that's best for the students. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to return to the line with Ellen Turner. You are next.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to just speak in support and on behalf of what many have been already saying about the forced teacher transfers. I'm sorry, I am a Cherry Hill resident, a graduate myself of Cherry Hill East, and a parent of a recent graduate and a current junior. I support the students. I think they speak beautifully. They've spoken beautifully. I hope that the board and administration will continue to listen to the student voice, which is so important. I just also wanted to speak on behalf of several of the teachers that I feel have not gotten quite as much attention as others. As a parent, I can give perspective. And both of my children have been impacted positively by a history teacher that is getting transferred, including a child who's so interested in science, but suddenly developed more interest in history when she had that teacher. Two of my children have been positively impacted by a business teacher who apparently is getting transferred, as well as an anatomy teacher. And even a teacher who represented so well in the class of 2020 was deprived of things and drove around in a car. So these are teachers who are inspiring, connecting. I'm not saying that transfers are never necessary, but doing them involuntarily with disregard to so many of the other aspects is hurting the community. So please take all into consideration the impact of all of these individuals, and continue to listen to all sides. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to return in the room to you. The floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Evan Lyman. I graduated from Cherry Hill East in 2012. And just like my brother said, I've actually never have had Mr. Rosenberg as a teacher in AP history, but I did know him as my brother's homeroom teacher and an AP history teacher, and he offered me a lot of guidance going through high school. It's unfortunate because I wanted to see Dr. Perry here because he was actually my middle school principal at the time at Beck Middle School. And just as a fact check, I wanted him to, I was in his office every single week for being in trouble, for being a trouble youth. And since he is not here, I know Mr. Hume is here, and Mr. Hume can fact check that I was in his office every single week for being in trouble. If it wasn't for Mr. Rosenberg, really asked me what I wanted to do in life and if I even wanted to go to college and what I would have a passion for in the way that Mr. Rosenberg can relate and how he can, just relate to the students. He actually made me want to go to college to study social work. And right now I'm a senior at Stockton, and I'll be graduating in the fall. So it's a large majority to Mr. Rosenberg too, and all the other teachers there too. Thank you.
Thank you. We will stay in the room. Floor is yours next.
Bob Hume, Cherry Hill, 41 years in education, 22 great years in the Cherry Hill district. And I wasn't going to say anything, but I always got the last word in on Evan during those weeks. And I don't want to break that record. I just wanted to say that, we're not working in the NBA or NFL where you have players like James Harden coming down and you just fit them into the offense and expect a championship. It's a much different environment, the educational environment. Teachers are very vested in their buildings with their peers. There's so much camaraderie. If you take teacher A here, who's running 9 out of 10 in effectiveness, and another teacher, 9 out of 10 in effectiveness, and you decide to switch their buildings, their effectiveness is not going to stay at 9. It's going to drop, say, 6, 7. And it'll take about 4 to 5 years till they can establish themselves in their new environment to go back. So with each transfer like that, the district as a whole is losing effectiveness. So the mass transfer really impounds that, or makes it a little more visible. So I would take that into consideration when you're debating that, not the NBA, Cherry Hill School District. It's more family here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll return to the line with Laurie Neary.
Hi, thank you, Laurie Neary, Cherry Hill. I just wanted to call in. I know my husband spoke earlier on behalf of Mr. Hare. My son, Jack, was pretty upset and actually wasn't able to speak this evening because he was so upset. Mr. Hare is so important to the kids at Carusi. That's a population of students that so sorely need someone there for them, a role model. He has been that time and time again. Of all the moves being made, and there are not many at Carusi, I have to ask the question, is this going to do anything to improve the culture and the climate within the buildings? And right now, what I'm seeing for all our buildings across the board, that answer is not a yes. So we need to pause and think about, does this make sense? Are the schools being well run? Is this furthering that objective? Moving Mr. Hare out of Carusi is taking away one of the few voices that those students have, someone they can relate to, that is a positive role model. I think it is a grave injustice to do that. That is certainly not going to help the massive climate problem that exists in that building by taking that teacher out of there. I've really asked that everyone take a step back. Are these decisions making it better or worse? Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Radin, you are next.
Good evening. Tammy Radin, Cherry Hill. Why? 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 Where are our values? Where are our values? Our teachers and staff are the heart of the schools. I implore the BoE, you have a duty to look into this situation. You have a duty. Please reverse these forced transfers. Listen to student voice, teacher voice, staff voice, and community voice. I felt so compelled to come out tonight to spend almost 4 hours of my evening to stare at everybody here, to be with all the teachers, to hear all the students. It just moved me to come out. We have to support our students and we have to support our teachers. And you all have a duty to listen to the voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like a chance to speak? We do not have anyone on the line. The floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Mike Malagrana, and I grew up in Old Orchard. I grew up wanting to give back to the community that gave me so much. I've been a teacher at Cherry Hill High School East for 15 years. I've coached in Cherry Hill East for over 20 years. I bought a house in Old Orchard so my kids could have the same experience as I did. I always thought it was a privilege to grow up in Cherry Hill and be part of Cherry Hill Public Schools, and I still believe that. I think it's a privilege and honor to teach at Cherry Hill Public Schools, and I have no doubt that I'll bring my energy wherever I'm asked to teach. But as was said by Dr. Achille, my colleague, it has a face when you make these changes. My world professionally has been turned upside down by this move. I have no doubt that I'll bring everything I can to Beck Middle School. I'm a proud alumni of Beck Middle School, and I'm a very proud coach of the Cherry Hill East boys soccer team. I'll still be able to do that job, but in a new way. I accept the transfer as a new challenge and a new way of looking at things and a new opportunity. But the relationships I've formed at East are immeasurable. I work with our Italian American club. I've done work in our gym. Yes, I do work with our Crimson mascot, but more often than not, I'm an educator. I'm a person who listens and wants to listen. I want to be at East. I want all of my colleagues to teach where they feel most effective, where they think they could do the most good for our students. We're coming out of a time of very difficult circumstances. Many times, safe places for our children have been in our schools. To take away wonderful educators across the district, to put them somewhere else, I would ask that the Board of Education and all of our administrators really consider, is this change what's best for our students? You have my word that I will give nothing but the best wherever I'm asked to teach and coach. My heart is at East. I would like to be there. I would like to stay there. All of my colleagues do a wonderful job. They do a wonderful job where they are, and I have no doubt they will continue to do a wonderful job. But please consider these transfers. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just scanning the crowd. Okay. Thank you to everyone who spoke tonight. This is important. This is a critical piece to the process. I turn it over now to Dr. Melange for comments and responses to open items of this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Avadia. I do want to add on, and again, thank everybody that took the opportunity to speak tonight, our staff members, our students, our alums, parents, family members, community members. I appreciate and I'm grateful for all of the words that were shared. We spent a lot of time talking about and discussing student voice and staff voice and the value and the importance. So incredibly valuable to hear from everybody. So we are grateful for that. I'm personally grateful for that. Let me address some of the questions that came up as well. Nadia, I'd be happy to have additional discussion. I know you emailed me earlier today. We can talk about, meeting, which is fine. That actual portion in the article, Mrs. Burney paraphrased what I said. She didn't quote me saying 30 minutes. She left out the part where I said 45 minutes is the ideal, but they could be done in 30 minutes. You go back to the presentation that Dr. Morton delivered. He will identify, what that looks like. The AAPI requirements to be included in the curriculum, they're going through a curricular revision process. We'll be talking tomorrow with the principals. We shared information with them back in March. As everybody hopefully knows, month is celebration of AAPI Heritage Month. So we'll be doing stuff throughout our schools, in recognition. We'll see a formal, revision with some of the curricular work that's being done. In terms of the additional curriculum work with the family life or the health and PE, the change in the standards. So the Department of Ed has been asked to reevaluate what those standards are and what it looks like. Dr. Mahan and Dr. Morton have posted for folks to work on the curriculum committee. We have not revised the curriculum. Yes, there will be information that will be shared with parents before it is taught to the kids. Parents will still have the opportunity as part of the family life to opt out. Depends upon what it looks like in each of the schools, the number of children that participate, or that do not participate with being opted out, what it looks like on that day and for those lessons. Honestly, the opting in to something, the fact that kids are registered in the public schools is really the opt-in, right? Because it's part of the state standards. So that'll be coming up. Information, there will be more information that will be shared probably later in August and then early into September. But again, we will continue to go through the same process that we've done before. The building principals will be direct contacts for that information as it's occurring. There's a question about reimbursement for transportation or for children who live in Cherry Hill and go to a private school. They receive reimbursement or what's referred to as aid in lieu of transportation. There's a specific dollar amount that is, Mrs. Sugar's $1,100, $1,000. So by state statute, public schools are responsible for a number of things for children that live within the community, whether they attend the public schools, whether they attend a non-public school. One of those is transportation. By statute, we're allowed to spend $1,000 per child to provide transportation. Many of our parents of non-public school children will tell you that we are unable to get buses that will run and provide that transportation for $1,000 per child for the year. Those parents have the opportunity to apply for what's referred to as aid in lieu of transportation, where they apply to the school district and the school district provides that $1,000 directly to the family in order to provide transportation for their children during the course of the year. There's no aid in lieu that's provided for children who attend school in the school district, whether they're assigned to buses or whether they are walkers going to school. I think everything else was about teacher transfer and about that information. So again, Mr. Vadi and to the board, I know there's a lot that's been shared tonight. The board, and during the course of their time and with their responsibility, would continue to be thoughtful and deliberative in all that we do. And again, to all of the staff members that came out tonight and who spoke, I give you a lot of credit for being willing and to get up and stand at a microphone and talk is never the easiest of things. And again, to all of our students and our alumni, who took that opportunity as well. Grateful for the eloquence and the way that you represent yourselves and your schools and your communities and the passion with which you speak. Mr. Vadi, I think that's all for me.
Thank you, Dr. Malash. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Ms. Friedel is a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Sounds like we are adjourned. Thank you.